In NASCAR 25, we really saw the opportunity to do something different with the race day experience. So having worked on a bunch of different NASCAR games in my career, it's always been sort of the same flow when you get to the race weekend of, practice, qualify, and race. And while we wanted to have those features in there, obviously, we wanted to make them all feel very unique and memorable.
So to execute there, we've actually taken certain areas of each track and really built these scenes where we can show the car models in a different way. Traditionally we've only shown the car models once you actually get on track, and now we're using them almost like a character in a movie.
So one of the ways that we've done that is we're doing everything at the racetrack from the driver's perspective. When you get to the racetrack, you're down in the pits, you're in the garage, you're intermingling with your crew members, with your team, you're in your car. There's no concept of what is a normal race day UI where you're just clicking through menus. You're actually the driver at the track in your car, interacting with your crew chief and your spotter.
Everybody knows that iRacing is all about authenticity. It's not just a marketing slogan, right? The company was literally founded on this notion of being authentic first and realistic. We've talked a lot about car models and track models and laser scanning, but we haven't really gotten into the sound yet. And when you come to these NASCAR tracks, the sound is everything, right? In NASCAR 25, every engine sound that you hear is actually recorded from those real world race cars. And one of the things we're super excited about this year is the spotters. You have not one, but two real world Cup spotters that we're working with in Josh Williams and TJ Majors, and we've learned so much from these guys.
Playing these games enabled me to become part of a community that gave me an opportunity to get involved in something that I love.
My grandfather was general manager at the Martinsville Speedway for about 25 years. So just grew up around the track, listening to radios, didn't really know anything different. My parents they did sell souvenirs for Del Senior. So for 20 years they did that. So just always being around it.
Being involved in a game like this is unique, man, and it's really cool. I don't think, it's not an opportunity that comes along to everyone all the time.
So spotting started late 70s, early 80s. A few drivers just wanted an extra set of eyes just to kind of see the rest of the track where they couldn't see it. And then everybody started realizing it was a benefit for them. So then everybody kind of ended up with them every week. And then NASCAR finally made it mandatory, I think early 90s. Some bigger accidents, people got hurt, so they made them mandatory now. So there has to be a spotter on the roof before they'll let your car leave pit road.
So one of our big focuses with NASCAR 25 is this notion of immersion and emotion. And we're really tapping into the emotional side of what it's like to be a driver. And one of the examples with Junior was we asked him, you go to a race weekend, when are you most stressed out? And his answer really shocked us. You'd think it was, being 4 wide at Talladega for 4 or 5 hours straight, and actually it was qualifying. And he said, when I'm the most stressed out, I'm actually sitting on pit road, I'm about to go out, I hear that car go by before me, official waves me on, and I know it's my turn. He's like, I got this taped up car, I'm ready to send it down into turn 1 and just see what happens. And not only that, but I'm the only car on the track, and I've got the entire industry watching me. And it was really that sort of light bulb from a design perspective that was like, oh, we need to put a lot more emotion into not just the racing, but all of these other stages that the drivers go through on a race weekend.
One of the good challenges, I think, for us trying to build this product is the sensory overload and putting you in the moment, like right before you get into the car, feeling like, the spectacle of the Daytona 500, the pre-race, all the build-up, bringing all of that in and trying to build the anxiety and build the nerves up in the user so that they realize how critical a moment is and they feel that pressure and anxiety to perform and succeed. And that's a fun challenge, but one I think we're up to the task. Visit NASCAR25.com for more information on the game, and make sure you follow us on social media at NASCAR25Game.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, we take a look back at a caution-free race at Nashville. We chat with the faces of the Kansas City Pioneers. And we check out how you're racing at home in the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is Countdown to Green. I'm your host, Camille Salazar Hadaway. Joining me as always, we have Ryan, we have Alan, and what a weekend has it been. So much noise has been going with NASCAR, and we're happy to continue it. We are almost halfway through. Well, technically after tonight, we're halfway through the series for this year, which is crazy, Ryan.
Yeah, it's crazy, and tonight we're not only going to get halfway through the season, but we're also going to figure out who our Segment 2 winner is, who's going to leave here with an extra 5 playoff points and 3,000 clams in their pocket. It's going to be, that's a lot of clams, Alan. That's a lot of clams.
A lot of clams. Looking forward to Kansas. I was in Nashville over the weekend, IRL, saw a lot of our friends from iRacing, from Logitech. That was really cool. The best part of the weekend, though, guys, seeing Raja Caruth in victory lane of all places.
Our boy.
A friend of ours getting that checkered flag, Camille.
Yes, right at the Nashville's Craftsman Truck Series, and it's just so great to see his growth from sim into real life racing, and we actually got to catch up with him where he talked about that journey.
For Washington, D.C.'s Raja Caruth, the high-speed excitement of stock car racing attracted him from an early age.
Whether that was NR 2003 or the early days of iRacing, I wasn't really a participant, but I would watch them all the time, and just because it was so interesting to me, I was just really trying to take in as much about racing as possible. From, like you said, living in Brooklyn, living in DC, not having any sort of connections in the racing world, sim racing was my only opportunity to get noticed in racing. So I got my subscription on my birthday of that year, 2018, and literally, like, within the same week, you guys announced the Ignite series.
With only a single real-life racing season under his belt, but over 500 starts on iRacing, Raja applied for the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program, hoping to be one of the 6 drivers selected to join Rev Racing's main operations.
Well, to be completely honest, I was very surprised to get picked for the 2020 season, because honestly, like I said, I felt like I really didn't do that good, not only in real life, but I feel like I wasn't really exceptional on the sim to kind of get that chance taken on me. But I think that was huge for showing the legitimacy of the sim, and to the point that it's not not just a video game, and you can find real talent on here with people that have the potential to race well in real life. You know, one example that comes ahead is Donovan Strauss. He's a couple years younger than me, and he got on iRacing in a shorter time period than me, and he's at Coke, and he's winning legend car races at the same time. So I think kind of both of those show the legitimacy of the sim, and the fact that it's just going to get better and just more trusted, I think, as years to come.
The pandemic would put pause on Raja's career plans, delaying them until later in the year.
Everybody hopped on the sim, so, and honestly, that not only helped the legitimacy of the sim, but also my career, and showing that there is this is real, this is legit, this is stuff that is useful and real.
While it took longer than expected, Raja had made his jump into late models, racing at several iconic short tracks across the Carolinas in 2020, and making his start in the ARCA Menard Series in 2021.
To have the chance to be an ambassador and be a role model to kids out there, I really just try to make the most of that chance, because I welcome that. I feel truly honored to be in that spot, because I was that kid not even 5 years ago, sitting at home in DC, being a total nerd, total geek, and just watching stuff and wanting to be a part of it. And so to have that chance, I'm really thankful for it, and I try every day to make the most of it and be a good representative. And I really welcome the opportunity, and I'm thankful for it.
And shout out to our man Cisco for narrating that. This was the victory the other night. It looks so cool, and Ryan can speak to this a little bit as well. But guys, he won with the slower vehicle, and to do that as a race car driver, that means you are an awesome race car driver when you win with the slower vehicle, because he was getting hounded from behind, but he got the victory and that really cool guitar, guys. Awesome trophy.
Oh yeah, no, Raja put on a clinic there, just playing masterful defense against Corey Heim and Lane Riggs, breathing down his neck. You see the guitar right there. really, really awesome win for Raj. I've had the pleasure of knowing him for a couple years now, and to see him knock off another win, that is a huge accomplishment for that young racer.
I'm just wondering what song he's going to play on the guitar. What is he going to play on that trophy? I want to know. What is the song? Raj, you got to let us know. All right, back to our series right here. Last week, well, it was a crazy hectic one because we were in Nashville and it was insane, Ryan.
Yeah, it was insane. There was a lot of action on the track, but we talked about it at the very beginning. No yellows, Alan. This was a clean and green race. Didn't mean that it was a boring race, per se. There was a lot of action, a lot of passing, a lot of strategy. But at the end of the day, Tucker Minter couldn't be denied.
Yeah, I love the concrete surface. And you mentioned Tucker Minter, and there was a lot of action before that. He started deep in the field, but you saw just going into some of these corners how tight it could be between what looked like to be teammates there. Bobby Z and his teammate going at it, stuff like that. I mean, right in the wall. And that's on the straightaway, not even in the corner. So, you know, there are people that were mad. We saw it on Twitter afterward, Ryan. I mean, there were some hurt feelings after some of these wrecks, especially, back in the field where you're trying to make those points and trying to get all the segment points that you can in this. And then we saw there, Tucker Minter, he was on the hunt. And then pit stops proved to be, there was one pit stop during this race. It was very vital how you got in and off pit road.
Yeah, we saw the pit stops really play into how this race shaped up. Ryan Luza really had control of this race in the early stages, but played a little bit of a different strategy. Tucker Minter capitalized on that, made the move, and was able to hold off and really just made it to the end. You saw right there, we talked about, there was no yellows, but there was plenty of contact. But nonetheless, Tucker Minter is picking up his third win on the season. What a stretch that he's going on, Alan.
Yeah, we saw some of the best racing between some of the best drivers. You can see, oh man, again, another bad weekend, unfortunately, for Nick Ottinger. Oof, not where you want to be. And Tucker Minter getting the win. And it was another one, Ryan, he did it with strategy. Long pitting, sometimes he short pits, this time he long pitted and it worked out.
Yeah, and this win by Tucker Minter just has me thinking. I mean, he's been so strong lately, but right now we're taking a look at the point standings here for segment 2. Bobby Zielinski, Bobby Z, he's been kind of a quiet hitter this year a little bit. He had that win at Talladega, but man, look at that. He's holding a 10-point lead over the dominators, Steven Wilson and Tucker Minter. But don't count out guys like Strauss and Kerwin. They're still within that strike range. Same thing with Parker White. It's going to come down to the wire here for segment 2.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the wire there because there's a lot on the line for those segment wins. And this is the team standings. This is the full season. Channel 199 Sim Racing. They were tied before the last race. Channel 199 has increased its lead, now has earned that lead for Travis Pastrana's team. The team of Spire Motorsports, Steven Wilson leading that charge just behind. And then you look at in fourth place, William Byron Esports. Think of everything Tucker Minter's doing for that team. Balance that out with what, unfortunately, Nick Ottinger is doing. If Nick Ottinger could just up his game just a little bit, we know he can, I think that team will take off.
This year's showing to be a very unpredictable one, especially when we get to the segment standings and seeing that, really it could come down to a points game at the end of segment 2. So we're going to have to see how it plays out. But speaking of Nashville, I'm wondering, what were your thoughts after the race, Ryan?
Yeah, we saw Tucker Minter get it done again. Well, is he the new title favorite? He is tied with Wilson with wins and also has more points than Steven Wilson in the overall season standings. So, we've been talking Wilson's game all season long so far, but Tucker Minter has emerged as a new threat. Can he hold it up to Steven Wilson, Alan?
Absolutely. He is the title favorite, and he's taken that title from Steven Wilson. So that just has me wondering, where does Steven Wilson improve from here? He's got the wins. We know he's the former champ. We know how good he is, but just in the last few weeks, he hasn't been getting those checkered flags. And some of it has been strategy, maybe a little off on speed, but he's so good, but not winning races, right? So where does he find that improvement when you are so good? That's my question going forward, because it will take checkered flags to win this championship. And when you're already so good, how do you find that last few percentage once again to start collecting those checkered flags? That's what I want to see, the question I want to see him answer, so we can really go at Tucker Minter. We're going to have a great championship battle.
Yeah, it's gonna be insane. Also, I'm just hoping that he wakes up a little bit, Steven Wilson, for this race to really plan that momentum for segment 3. But now it's time to check in with a driver from the series that the other drivers say has the most riz. Of course, from Kansas City Pioneers, I'm talking Graham Bowlin.
Less road courses on this circuit, that's all. I like turning left. Turning right I don't like doing that. I'm Graham Bowlin, and I'm from Houston, Texas. This is my 5th season, I think, going in the eNASCAR series. And yeah, my first NASCAR game that I enjoyed playing, or simulator, I guess, was iRacing, to be honest. I raced in real life before, and then I got into iRacing after. I like any hobby that takes like a forward thought process, anything that takes to build technique. Like I've been getting into trying to read the stock market recently, and then also reading charts on my paper trade for a little bit. Be as aggressive as possible when you're getting into iRacing, first off, because the more mistakes you make early, the faster you'll learn. Every race I try to show up and win, to be honest. So my biggest accomplishment in iRacing is probably making it in the Final Four twice and losing in the Final Four, but we're gonna change that this year. My biggest motivation heading to 2025 is reviewing the Final Four race that I was in recently and knowing that I had the pace to win the championship and just getting it done this year.
Kind of happy with what I did, other than like maybe be a little bit further up track position wise, but we were really fast. We had a good shot until the front end damage, but yeah, I'd still maximize with what I had.
I do want to win a championship, and that's the goal. I need to improve as a driver, is value track position a little bit more. Just that 3 extra spots will get me out of trouble a little bit, and work on qualifying. In my opinion, my philosophy is like, I want to stay ahead of the wreck. Don't want to be being passive and riding in the back, then you still end up getting wrecked. What's the point? I want to get a little bit better at road courses. But yeah, it just comes with qualifying on road courses, to be honest. It's okay to pull back. It's okay to pull back a little bit. That's a tip I would tell myself. Like, you don't have to be full send all the time. I have the most aura in this series, come on.
Yeah, it's always great to hear from Graham Bowlin, or as Guam, as we all like to call him. But one of the veterans of the series, right? He's been in this for quite some time, as you mentioned, making the Final Four a couple times, but kind of an underwhelming year for Graham. Sitting P15 in points, a little uncharacteristic for Graham, but he mentioned there, getting that track position earlier, qualifying better. That's going to be something that he needs tonight, Alan.
Yeah, is it better to have aura or Riz? I'm not sure which one. They said he had Riz last week. He didn't like that, know. But he's got the aura, so that's good. Whatever.
Alan, do you know what aura is?
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I'm surrounded by the screen aura. I got it.
There you go.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll take you through a dictionary of slang terms of the current generation later. But for now, what we're gonna do is go through some of your rigs at home. This is my favorite segment called Logitech Show Us Your Rigs. This is where we get to see your rigs at home. Alan, the first one is from JM Motorsports. Ooh.
Is that really a rig? I mean, that just looks like they put a car in their living room, or maybe it's just in their garage and they just hollowed out the car and put everything you need in there. That is realistic, I gotta say. That is way more simulator than rig to me. That is awesome.
Our next one is from Nick. Oh, this is great desk mount setup.
Yes, I personally love this setup. This shows exactly that anybody could start with any type of setup, right? He's got the Logitech wheels and pedals there, nice on the desk. He's even got a stool for his mouse. I actually have a bar stool next to my desk here for my mouse. So nice setup there, Nick. This is perfect.
Our next one is from Jacob, bringing in the trio of monitors.
Yeah, this is good. Another great desk setup. This is all you need to get involved in iRacing. This looks like someone's cubicle or office, and then they really just sneak in a wheel at the end. You know what I mean? They got the disinfectant there. So someone's hard at work, and then when the boss isn't there, they bring out the wheel. I love this.
Jacob, you're keeping it clean. We love it here. This next one is from Bowlin. Ooh, wow. What?
Wow.
This is a nice rig, Ryan.
Man, I don't know how you can get any iRacing done when you have that view, but I mean, look, we all get it, right? iRacing, you know, it's an addiction, but nonetheless, a beautiful setup here. It looks like he's got the motion down there. He's got the little pucks there, so really, really impressive setup here.
Very impressive with the view as well. Maybe he opens those windows and gets a breeze while he's driving as well. This next one is from Zayn. We are really getting immersive.
Yes, another authentic.
Segment.
I mean, someone is missing a dash out there. Someone out of their car or junkyard. Okay, another great one. I love how realism this is, and they still have the passenger seat, guys. I don't know what you do with that if you want to go along and ride. I mean, an immersive experience if you're doing a race, but yeah, why not have a friend with you as well?
I mean, do the gauges work? Is this just going to drive right off? I don't know. We got to know. Remember to show us your rigs at home using the hashtag eNASCAR and tagging eNASCARGG and at iRacing. We love to see it. Now, we've got to check in with one Kansas City Pioneers driver, but it's time to check in with the other. Of course, I'm talking about our 2022 Series champion, Casey Kerwin.
Hopefully I can be the champion this year. We ran really good last year. I think we can run good again this year and hopefully put it all together kind of like we did in 2022 and have another shot at it. Casey Kerwin from Matthews, North Carolina. This is my 8th season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Every year I will always beg for Long Beach. As I mentioned, I love Long Beach from a lot of the IMSA stuff I do and going there IRL for those races. It would be fun to do a street course. We obviously do Chicago street course, but to do another street course in Long Beach is by far my favorite track. So every year I mention Long Beach when they ask about our input on a road course. One year I'll get my wish maybe before I retire. I'm definitely looking forward to Kansas and as well being with the Kansas City Pioneers this year. It's going to be a home race for them, so hopefully Graham and I can both have a good run there for that. I'm also really looking forward to Interlagos, our international road course for the year. I've always really liked Interlagos from doing the road course stuff that I do. And yeah, looking forward to that. Track I'm least looking forward to is probably Rockingham at the moment. I never liked Rockingham when I drove it years ago. I haven't driven it in a while, so obviously I'll have to do that now. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll turn around and like it or figure out how to drive it a bit better. But right now that's probably my one circled for the least one I'm looking forward to the least. Biggest motivation for me would be just trying to get back on the top end, fighting for a championship again. I mean, it wasn't like we had a bad year last year, but obviously missed out on the playoffs, not having a win. Still ran really good, but yeah, obviously wins matter, and try and get a win to be in the big fight at the end and have another shot at the big trophy. What do I want people to remember about me? Hopefully that I was nice most of the time, off track that is, and I just had fun. I just always do everything I do to have fun and try and have a positive attitude and rub that off on people as much as I can.
As we ride on board here with Casey Kerwin, he's getting up to speed here for his qualifying lap, but always great to hear from our resident nice guy, Casey Kerwin, our 2022 champion, the first champion with the next-gen car. And as you see right here, he's pretty familiar with this place, right? He's felt really good here in 2022. Obviously a driver for the Kansas City Pioneers and having a really good season, Alan. Sitting P6 in the standings. He doesn't have that win, though. We talked about how important those wins are. Hopefully tonight he can try and at least get himself a little bit of insurance.
What do you make of that? Nice guy off the track, maybe a little more aggressive, not so nice once you get behind the sim. Can you relate to that? Yeah, the Joey Logano.
Well, I think, this year he's choosing maybe to be a little bit nicer on the track. So, it balances out. But like I said earlier, we are, after this race, halfway through the series for the year. So it only makes sense to bring in iRacing staff writer Justin Melillo to talk about his power rankings and update us. Hi, Justin. How are you?
What's going on, everybody? I'm excited to be back here tonight.
We're excited to have you, but you got to update us on your power rankings. What's going down?
Well, including tonight, there are really only 6 more chances to lock into those 2025 playoffs with a win. Thanks to both Steven Wilson and Tucker Minter, that all but guarantees any new winners inside the top 20 in points from tonight going forward are going to be fighting for a title. So coming into the season, I hammered in Wilson versus the defending champion Parker White as the 2 to watch. White still to win has kind of fallen out of that conversation for the moment. Wilson had those 3 wins early. He held the lead, but once Tucker started taking checkered flags, Wilson hasn't won since. While I still think this is a season that is our best chance at having a multi-time champion other than 4-time, Tucker's recent stretch is one of the strongest in recent history, and he could be yet another new champion in the series. Even with those 2 wins in 3 races in segment 2, though, Bobby Zalenski still leads those segment 2 standings by 10 points over Minter and Wilson. One other note that I'd like to point out in my drivers' rankings here is that there was a huge jump this week for the 2017 champion, Ryan Luza. Luza's had two really good races, and he moves in the top 10 this week after 2 solid races. Math never lies, and the power that Luza's shown is what we know is capable. Regarding the teams, I keep liking what I see from Travis Pastrana's Channel 199 team. Like Luza in the last 2 weeks, Zach Novak has been almost back to his championship form, but all year. And he's been knocking on the door, getting back to victory lane as well. He won that first segment along the way. His teammate Dylan Duval, he knows how to win these team championships, but so does the other driver that he won it with back in 2023, which is Wilson, who's with Spire Motorsports. Wilson's teammate, Femi Olatan-Bosin, hasn't been getting the finishes as of late, which is why Channel 199 is back on top right now. Atlassian Williams falls to 5th in that, and that's not to say that Parker and Donnie Strauss aren't having solid seasons, but I got them behind Jesse Iwuji's ERA Esports because of Bobby's pace as of late, and I have William Byron Esports up to 3rd solely based on Tucker putting the team on his back as we're still waiting for Nick Ottinger to show up this year. As we know, Kansas is a good place historically for the Audi Boss, so it could be as soon as tonight.
Justin, great stuff. If you had to guess or wonder, who steps up more, Femi or Nick Ottinger, to help their respective teams in those team rankings?
I think Femi's been having the overall better season. He's kind of been falling off while Nick's kind of been getting back up there. So I think tonight will be a really good determination of that. I think Nick is going to probably have a little bit better of a shot. But that's not to say, I think Femi came in 2nd the last time we were here back in 2022. So both of them know how to get it done at this track.
So, Justin, one of the things that caught my eye on that chart there was Ryan Luza jumping up 10 positions on your power rankings. He's had an impressive last 2 races, but what was the thought process in moving him up, not just a handful of spots, but literally 2 handfuls, 10 positions on your power rankings there?
Listen, man, the math never lies. And even though his Charlotte finish wasn't great, his Charlotte performance was great. He got 2nd place last week at Nashville, and he's been just zooming up the charts right now. He's right on the cusp of breaking into the top 20, and if he can get that win, he'll be in the playoffs. And I think he's been showing the speed to be able to get that win.
Well, we love to have you here and giving us all the info. We're going to have to see how it plays out and maybe how your power rankings change a little later. But thank you so much, Justin. It's always a pleasure. All right, Ryan, we are going to Kansas. What can drivers expect?
Oh yeah, we're heading to Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. One of my favorite tracks, personally the best track on the circuit. This place is 1.5 miles long, banking in the corners. It's progressive banking, 17 degrees at the bottom, all the way to 20 at the top. Front and back stretch, that banking's about 5 to 11 degrees. This place opened in 2001, and our 2022 winner, remember we haven't raced since then, but our 2022 winner was Garrett Lowe.
Well, we haven't been there since 2022, but we have some trends on what we've seen at this track before. 4 of the 6 Kansas winners have won again in that same season, but in the 2 most recent races, the winner did not win again. So again, with these trends, what does history tell us? Do you want to win or not? I mean, everybody wants that win, but does that mean you're done for the year? Well, we shall see. 50% of Kansas race winners led the most laps. This is odd because it alternates every race. So, going by the trend, tonight's winner should lead the most laps. We'll see if that holds up tonight once the green flag is out there. Only one driver has won at Kansas from the pole. We've talked a lot about him tonight. Out of boss, Nick Ottinger in 2020. The average winning starting position, this is interesting, 11th. Not necessarily a necessity to have a great qualifying run, but of course it helps. But we'll see what happens tonight. Nick Ottinger, the only multi-time Kansas winner. He won way back in 2013, and then of course in 2020 of his championship year. If there's any driver that needs a win just to rebound, just a good run, it is Nick Ottinger tonight for William Byron Esports. 2 of the 5 race winners at Kansas have made it all the way to the championship 4, and both of those drivers went on to win the championship that season. Nick Ottinger obviously being one of them. So, you win Kansas, you make the championship 4, you win the championship. It sounds easy, right? Maybe.
Easy. Easier said than done. Well, all right, let's get to see. Thanks for those trends, Alan. Let's see how our points are trending in the upward direction, hopefully.
Great.
I mean, Alan, you're still in the lead, so congrats. What's wrong, Ryan? Are you a little sad over there?
Look, he's just boasting, but look, I've been hard on
I got
this
the aura,
tail for a while.
I got the Riz.
Hey.
Oh, man, I hope I never have to hear you say that again.
Yeah,
on
is that
your heels.
banned from? Let's ban that word from Alan's vocabulary on this show. All right, Ryan. As we get into Kansas, let's hear your pick for who you think is going to take it home.
Well, we highlighted him earlier in tonight's broadcast. I'm going with my boy Casey Kerwin, the 2022 champion. He has been hungry for a win all season long. He's been strong all season, and he's going to have a little bit of extra motivation. Like I said, running for the Kansas City Pioneers, he's going to be really determined to get it done here tonight.
Yeah, love the former champ, but I'd be foolish to pick Ryan against the guy who's the hottest driver right now. Tucker Minter wins when he short pits. He wins when he long pits. He's been on a tear the last 2 weeks, 1.5 miles, ovals. He wins again tonight, Camille.
All right, well, I'm going with someone I'm thinking that they may take some of Graham Boland's Riz and just come back with, striking power. I'm talking about Wilson. I'm hoping that Steven Wilson actually comes back and makes his way up in Justin's power rankings. Yeah, I gotta call his mom. Producer Drew's telling me to call his mom. I'm gonna do it. We gotta make sure he wins. But those are our picks for the race ahead. Let us know what your picks are on social media, and be sure to stick around. What, Ryan? You got news? I know.
I have news. We have a pole setter. Parker White gets the pole by .001.
Oh,
it is a tight field here tonight. It is a tight field here. Kudos to producer Drew for getting in my ear on that. Very tight field here tonight. It's going to be an entertaining show for sure.
Ooh, I feel like the tension with these drivers, the air's gonna be thick. We can cut it. All right, well, stick around because we still have the race ahead with Kenneth and Evan. So you're gonna want to stick around, grab a snack, grab a Coca-Cola, and enjoy the race right after this break.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition, embrace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition, making your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to Truck Country, where sweat becomes fuel, bumpers become bruisers, and pedals become pedestals. Where a future is written, one lap at a time, and burned into history. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
And after Steven Wilson won 3 of the first 4, Tucker Minter said bet. Tucker Minter, he'll take his own. Goes back-to-back wins at Nashville.
No, guess who? Coming through. Got more than just a little something to prove. Boo-hoo, they're doomed. They don't see me stinky. I reach the peak and they sleeping swoop. Alley-oop, you've been created stuff since the jump. Steady, don't be strong, cause you know. Ready.
The road to $500,000 speeds through the heart of America for the Segment 2 finale. Tonight from iRacing's virtual Kansas Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 9 of the 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, this is a great part of the country to be in. I'm a Joe's Barbecue guy myself when I'm in the Kansas City area, but this is also a great time of the season. And we're happy that you're with us. Kenneth Bueno, myself, Evan Pasoko, and KB. Tonight, a second segment championship on the year is going to be handed out. Race winners or non-race winners continue to be a big factor in our playoff picture. It's all coming together as we reach the midway point of 25.
And this is the pivotal point of the season where drivers can either turn their season around fully, or those that have been doing so well can continue to create that level of difference between themselves and the rest of the playoff field. We see what will happen tonight. $3,000 and extra bonus points awarded to the segment winner. We've seen plenty different storylines between the hard-charging Tucker Minter, Bobby Zalenski, who's held on to the segment lead ever since his win from Talladega. Don't forget, Steven Wilson, one of the best drivers all season long, is gunning for his second career Coke Series title. And with this segment 2 finale, Evan, it closes off a trio of intermediate racetracks to finalize this halfway mark of the regular season. Charlotte was a doozy, our longest race of the year. Nashville is about a little distance compared to this one, which will be a tad bit longer. But Kansas, after its return from a 2-year hiatus, will be the center stage for what will be a very close segment 2 ending.
And what lessons will be learned over the course of tonight and the 2 weeks prior that you could apply to the likes of Atlanta, Texas, and Homestead? Those are 3 other critically timed intermediate racetrack races that are going to be happening a little bit later on this season. It's also a home game for the Kansas City Pioneers team. They'll be hoping Casey Kerwin and Graham Bowlin do good tonight. Here's your reminder, as always, for NASCAR Fan Awards members to enter tonight's code. It is Kansas 36K. Enter that on your member dashboard, lock in your 50 points. And again, if you are not signed up yet, you can do so by scanning the QR code on our screen or going to NASCAR.com/fan rewards for more information on that. But excited for a thrilling race here tonight. Will it be similar to what we saw a week ago in Nashville? Similar-ish of a racetrack, but back up to 1.5 miles in length. Let's go trackside. Take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid, and it is his first career pole position for Parker White in the Alassian Williams Sim Racing number 95. He will bring us to the green flag next to the 6 Karma 39 of Daniel Falkingham. Back on row number 2, it'll be the BS Competition 89 of Jordy Lopez and the William Byron Esports 97 of Tucker Minter, looking for a 3rd straight race win. Call it about in. Scott RFK Racing in the top 5. His number 6 is on the inside of row 3 next to the 2nd William Byron Esports car. Nick Ottinger looking to turn it up up in 25. Is it a breakout night for the driver of that 25? Zach Novak, the Channel 199 Sim Racing number 2, is on the inside of row 4, next to the FGRXL E-Racing number 12 of Ryan Luza. And rounding out your top 10, the second of the Travis Pastrana-owned 199 cars. It's the 199 fitted enough for Dylan Duvall. He is next to the Spire Motorsports number 7 of Femi Olatunbosun.
Back in row 6, a pair of drivers representing new teams for the 2025 Coke Series. Cody Bias on the inside of row 6, representing the Apex Racing Group. And Six Karma, the Latin American team out of Mexico, has Eddie Kerner, the rookie driver in the 19 car, on the outside in 12th place. Talladega winner and Segment 2 leader as of right now, Bobby Zielinski for the ERA Esports team, owned by NASCAR driver Jesse Iwuji. He'll try to capture the cash and the points home after tonight with 2022 Series champion Casey Kerwin. For the home team, the Kansas City Pioneers had a best finish of 3rd here back in that 22 race. Connor Urashak, his rookie season continues for Latar Esports inside of row 8 tonight with the 33 car for Team Dillon Esports. That is the 16th place machine of Taylor Hurst. Back in row number 9, the other end of the Team Dillon Esports camp, this time a rookie with Blaze Crawford in the 3 car, and Michael Guest for the Vegas Inferno camp going to line up on the outside in 18th place. Back in row number 10, the final 2 inside the top 20, Kevin Harvick Incorporated's Jimmy Mullis from the 29 car, and the E-Racer number 42, that's the Toyota of Logan Clampett.
That brings us halfway home and back onto row 11, where you'll find the FGRXL E-Racing number 14 of Seth the Merchant. He is next to 3-time race winner this season, the second Spire Motorsports entry, the 77 of Stephen Wilson. Row number 12, inside positioning to the Atlassian Williams Sim Racing number 4 of Donovan Strauss. He is next to the Hayek Motorsports 47 of Dylan Alt. Lucky row 13, we'll see the Pioneers 48 of Graham Bowlin looking for some home cooking. He's next to the Apex Racing Team 96 of Christopher Hill. Behind him, it's the 2 more rookies lined up. Nate Stewart for Jim Beaver Esports in the 5, next to the Hayek number 50 of Quentin Warman. That is through P28. And back on row 15, the Tony Kanaan-led Kanaan Esports 11, that's Vicente Salas, and the Kevin Harvick Incorporated 62 of Matt Busa.
Michael Cozy Jr. lines up his number 34 Chevrolet for ERA Esports inside of row 16 in his first Kansas start, by the way, with Malik Ray for the Vegas Inferno team on his outside in 32nd place. Kwame Scott, the other end of the Latar Esports camp, lines it up 33rd with RFK Racing's Timothy Holmes. His number 17 is 34th on the starting grid. 35th and 36th will go to both of the Journey Motorsports-led drivers of Blake McCandless in the 8 car, Brian LaPrade in the 88, before you find 2022 Kansas Speedway winner Garrett Lowe for the BS Plus competition group, and Las Vegas Motor Speedway winner from earlier this season, the Jim Beaver Esports Ford Mustang of Colin Keister. Final 2 in our 40-car grid from America's Heartland, the E-Racer 69 of Tyler Gary, and bringing up the shotgun position of the field, the Kanaan Esports number 66, Alexander Russell.
So look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Let's hand things over to the 3rd member of our broadcast team. James Pike has got our pole sitter.
I do, Evan, for Atlassian Williams Sim Racing. It's Parker White. And Parker, no Coke Series here starts at Kansas, but you've got plenty of independent league starts here. Do you feel like that experience will translate, or is this just a whole different ball game with the competition?
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a whole different race, to be honest, because our pack tests, our mock races, everything we've done so far has shown that every single lane is actually going to be usable in this race. So I think that's going to make for a very fun race for you guys to watch. And it's going to be a really fun race for us drivers as well, because usually we don't get many races where we can just run any lane on the track. They're going to see a lot of changes to the track surface this race. So we'll have the top come in, we'll have the bottom come in. We'll just have to see how it goes. I think we're going to be packed up together. I think we'll see some guys fall off long run, but it should be a fun one.
A driver's race, I think, is what I can translate out of that, Kenneth. It should be a really entertaining race tonight at Kansas.
Yeah, we've got nothing else to pump it up. I mean, he got us ready right there, laying it all on the line, Kenneth. It's going to be an exciting race tonight. Let's walk everybody through it with a look at our Logitech G race format.
Yeah, we had 100 laps last week in Nashville. It's 100 laps here from Kansas, but the distance is longer. At a 1.5 mile track, we go 150 miles and a little over 200 141 kilometers. We saw how big of a challenge pit road entry was at Nashville last week. It's going to be the same here at Kansas at a measly 45 miles per hour down pit road. There are 3 tire sets available to the drivers that will help if we get late race cautions, but should we stay green all the way like we did in the Music City just last Tuesday, we're going to be looking at that halfway mark for that 1 green flag pit stop. Lap 45 to 50 is where we should see most of the drivers come in for tires. However, they can extend it a little over 10 to 12 laps just based on the fuel that they have in the tank.
It was a quick race 1 week ago in Nashville. What is in store here for the midway point of the 2025 season? We're happy that you're with us on the iRacing Sports Network as Parker White takes control of the field. Let's go racing from Kansas. Trouble already. 1 car spits off and into the grass. So far, we stay green. It's going to be okay as they right it. It was Zelensky who was off and away.
The segment 2 leader, that's not a great way to start this race when you have Steven Wilson and Tucker Minter on your tail trying to charge for the $3,000 and the extra playoff bonus points. We're going to see exactly how that all transpired, but things had stacked up, Evan, on the inside lane as they were getting up through the gears. Jody Lopez backed up from, I think, the 3rd row of the inside lane, and it just got everyone out of whack. And there's trouble near the outside wall. Steven Wilson is among those involved, and he takes away, I believe it's Logan Clampett, never mind, Matt Busa is the 2nd car involved. I saw a green and white Chevrolet. It is indeed the 62 of Matt Busa. First yellow out before lap 2 finds its way around in lap 3.
So Logan Clampett and Matt Busa involved in an accident coming to the end of lap number 1. And unlike a week ago in Nashville, it is chaos on the opening 1.5 miles of this one. And we will slow things down. And that means we've got a couple of different moments to look at. I heard Malik Ray on the radio. That's not a surprise. He's one of the more vocal drivers, but he was in and around that. So I think there was some sort of a checkup, not only on the start that sent Zelensky to the grass, but then something happened off of 4 that led to both Busa and Clampett going around. That is big news, though, for Bobby Zelensky, your segment points leader, after dropping it back. Kenneth, if there was no caution, that would have been a hard pill for the 22 to swallow. Instead of caution resets it, he's right back in it. Up front, though, Parker White will maintain the lead. Still early here at Kansas.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition, making your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to more new ways to watch. A 5-race stretch only on Prime. More bright lights, more Nashville nights, more Motor City speed, more passion unleashed, more history made, more precision displayed. More moments you can't miss. And for the first time, only on Prime. Welcome to NASCAR.
And back live at iRacing's virtual Kansas Speedway, getting set for an early race restart in round number 9 of the 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. There was trouble on the drop of the green flag. We got away with that one. It was Zelensky off and into the grass, but a 3-car incident coming to the end of lap number 1 has us under an early yellow. We'll take a second look at those incidents once this race gets back underway, but because we did not complete a full lap, it is a single file restart, which completely changes the complexion of how this field is going to look. And if you're at the back of the field, you're now twice as far back physically from the leaders as you would be if you were 2x2. But let's try this again. 5 laps in the books, 95 laps still to go. Parker White up front. Green flag is back in the air.
Now, single file restarts, Evan, could create more stack-ups if one driver ends up in a hiccup situation, but thankfully everyone is clean. Back to turn 1. Zach Novak is trying to look on the outside of Taylor Hurst, but already fighting inside the top 10. Eddie Kerner, Casey Kerwin among those in the battle for 7th. Michael Guest on the outside of Jordy Lopez, and we're side by side just on the back end of the top 10.
Yeah, a couple of battles. That tail end of the top 10 sees the number 2. That was Novak way up the hill. You see the familiar 24 colors for Casey Kerwin, the Coca-Cola Chevrolet, up on the outside as well. Looks like Michael Guest, the Vegas Inferno car follows, and so does Eddie Kerner. Kerner now middle of the road in turns 1 and 2, the highest running rookie in the field. Sits P8 right now. Can he clear the 21? Not with much room to spare. Had him for a moment now. Guest pushes him back down to the inside and goes right back up top once more. This is a preview of what we're going to be seeing all night long. Cars using plenty of different lanes around this multi-groove racetrack.
And just like a lot of drivers, Evan, were saying before the drop of the green flag tonight, they were saying that Kansas is one of those tracks where it's going to be so hard to pass, particularly on the long run. And it's going to take a little while before that inside line rubbers in, finally gets enough speed. And this is a very unique mile and a half, Evan, in which the top side is usually the most dominant. We've seen a lot of drivers through officials and league races go all the way up near the outside wall. For now, it's a bit sparse, especially at the back end of the field, but at the front, drivers are really experimenting here. How about nearly 3 wide? Michael Guest in the middle through 7th, and it's side by side from 5th all the way back to 9th, about 10th.
So as they get through the gears and try to get some pace underneath, let's take a look at both incidents here. First replay, bottom of your screen, the checkup on the initial start. We caught it right away. Big checkup. Zelensky just the odd man out. He gets better line. Then a checkup off of 4. That's clamping against sideways up. They collect Stephen Wilson, who gets a little bit of damage. A further spin behind them involved the 3rd car. So both issues in the opening lap of this race, and involving some pretty major names. We jump back to live action. This battle's going on just around P10, and it is still the 2 of Zach Novak way up on the outside. The 77 Cara Wilson in the middle of this. You'll end up 2 wide as the 2 car wins out up top.
And what stood out there in that first incident was obviously Jordy Lopez struggling to get through the gears. It's been a struggle of a season for the BS Plus Competition Chevrolet, and think about Rockingham, how good of a start that was for him until little mistake getting into Dylan all in the middle of turns 1 and 2 sent him basically spiraling down, and then in this moment here backs up the track position and thankfully resurfaces to 12th, but is still in a place where he could be much better had he had a little bit of a cleaner start. And with that second incident that brought out the opening yellow of the race, we're going to see a lot of that as drivers go to the inside of the racetrack, Evan, because it's so hard, especially in this track surface, to get as much throttle in as possible without killing the right front tire with a car on your outside. So chances are you're going to see drivers get a little eager on the throttle, trying to think they can push their way through, but then they realize it's a little too late. They have to back out of the gas, and that could really back up a whole lane of cars, and it's going to feel like I-95 back there off of either turn 2 or turn 4 with how things can get really congested, single or double file.
Yes, a nice pass there on the outside lane. That was Colin Keister, the plaid red and black number 15 on the outside, making the move on Christopher Money Hill. Chris is up 9 spots, though, early in this race, so far so good overall for the driver of the 96. But at 50 to Keister going for more, takes another spot away. He is on the charge in the midfield and up towards the front. Parker White has led from the drop. Here's a look at Daniel Falkingham. He's also been second from the start of this race. Drivers behind them, not so fortunate. Jordy Lopez started third. He's out of the top 10. Tucker Minter started fourth. He's also out of the top 10. But White and Falkingham have stood the test of time. How long does it last, though? As you can see, that's Hill, center of 3 wide now, with Duvall on the outside and the 4 Strauss on the bottom.
That's a big mover in that Atlassian Williams sim racing car of Donovan Strauss, because in the last 2 races, Evan, he started 30th or worse, but still managed to scrap away top 10 or top 15 finishing positions. I mean, we saw what he did at Nashville, where he lined up basically the back end of the grid, had to claw his way through the pack with his teammate Parker White, and inevitably got into the top 10 by the time the strategy had cycled itself out. So a lot of credit to Strauss, who races on the real life side of things for late model stock cars, and great run so far tonight, picking up a few and just trying to get out of the mayhem that we saw a bit in the early stage at Nashville. 2 and 3 wide. A lot of these guys trying to put their seasons in the right order, and it could very well start here as they're still remaining door to door back here right around where Malik Ray is holding on to this group.
Yeah, a little bit ahead of this is Nick Ottinger. You talk about drivers trying to turn their season around. Well, Nick's somebody that jumps to mind, a 2-time race winner here at the Kansas Speedway, but has not had it so far in 2025. After tonight, we're 9 down, 9 to go, and a majority of those races left going to be postseason. So opportunities to turn it around if this season has not gone according to plan, very limited from this point on. You see Novak and Guest, the 4 and the 6 car, they're just ahead of Nick Ottinger, who you jump on board with now. He's been steady inside of the top 10 for the entirety of this race thus far. The longest standing race winner actively in the series. You can trace Nick Ottinger's first career win back to March 6th of 2012 at what was then Phoenix International Raceway. There may be no more experienced driver than this man in this series right now, and he's hoping tonight is a catalyst for a step forward.
And Evan, he's only one of 2 drivers that has 7 Kansas starts, if you consider tonight the other driver being the Kevin Harvick Incorporated car of Matt Busa. So think about how much experience is there with how little Kansas is featured on the schedule. And think back to segment 2. Remember that slight issue on the opening jump for Bobby Zelensky? Well, that seemingly has dropped him out of the race for the top spot in the standings. Steven Wilson is there. Parker White not too far behind now that he's leading a couple of laps. And then Tucker Minter staying back in 3rd. It's been a dramatic fall off for the Talladega Super Speedway winner and a driver that hasn't finished a race outside of the top 10 since segment 2 began in that ERA Esports car of Zelensky. But Wilson, who, you know, the drivers had been thinking about whether Steven Wilson had fallen off a little bit, but now he's starting to find his charge. And guess who he's got with him? Fellow teammate Femi Olatunbosin, Evan. I think reignition of what we saw at Las Vegas earlier on this season. 2 of the Spire Motorsports Chevrolets working their way to the front.
Yeah, working well together, both inside of the top 10. Steven is up 14 positions from the start of this race, so good forward progress. Also, don't sleep on Casey Kerwin. He was within a single-digit spot there. He's been quiet with a P6, an 11th, and a 13th in this stage. He has an opportunity to possibly be a winner. Well, I mentioned the positions gained for Steven Wilson. Your biggest mover, Mr. Colin Keister, 27 positions gained so far in this race. He is the biggest mover of all. And there's not even a pit strategy to kind of explain that away. We already had a couple drivers come in and pit under the one and only yellow so far. He was not one of them. These are straight up passes for position that Jim Bevere's forward. He is aggressive early. You get worried, though, if this thing stays green. Is he giving it too much? Is he going to pay the price late in the run? Through 20 laps, it's all good for the 15 car. That's another spot gained. How about P38 to a top 10 in 20 laps?
That is quick progress for Colin Keister. He's winning big, and he already won big earlier this season, won at Las Vegas, and I kind of got to wonder if the setup is a little similar from Vegas and Kansas, 2 very similar looking cookie cutter mile-and-a-half racetracks. You know, you think of Las Vegas with the amount of bumps it has, that you got to prepare a more physical race car to be a little bit more idealistically, you know, watchful for the bumps that are on the racetrack, how aggressive it is. But here at Kansas, much more smoother surface, but Keister has been rolling well, and we've seen a lot of big movers over the last 3 between Charlotte, Nashville, and already a bit of tonight's race. These tracks benefit the guys who put in the hard work for the setups to be able to carve their way through the field, and it's making good note right now, especially noting that probably later in the run it's going to be 10 times as difficult to go through track position as Vicente Salas tries to weave in through 20th. He's on the fight with Donovan Strauss, started 29th in this race, and just on the inside of the top 20, he's had to fend off a ton of race cars, 3 wide right behind him in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, his mirror's got a great view as you jump on board the Miramar Financial Group Toyota. Familiar sponsor, different paint scheme on the number 11 Toyota for this race. He stays ahead of that chaos. And you talk about the comers and goers, the big movers, the big losers. Out in Nashville, Ryan Luza was the biggest driver to gain. He got a P2 in that race, gained 10 spots in the points, rocketed up from 32nd to 22nd. So big gain for Luza after a good result in Nashville. The big loser in that, our friend Blake McCandless, 39th place finish. He dropped from 22nd in the points to 32nd in the points. So we look at all of these margins, right? A spot here, a spot there, double-digit points, single-digit points. One good night or one bad night can cost you 10 spots in the points. And remember, P20 is always a big number. It is a big number if you're the man who's trying to get back above that line and your Las Vegas winner, Colin Keister. If you want your race win to count towards playoff eligibility, you need to be top 20 in points. So it's easy to say Keister's a winner. He's good. A top 10 tonight could be big for the 15 team as he continues to run well and has got a great view of all of that green in the battle for, we'll call it 6th odd back. Wilson, Olot, and Boson, Guest, and more all do battle inside of the top 10.
Similar with Spire Motorsports, Evans, what we saw in Las Vegas. Took them a little bit to get their cars fully up to full song, but as soon as they did, boy, they were locked in and ready to go. And with Ryan Luza, he's been able to really step up alongside his teammate, Seth the Merchant. But talk about big names that maybe bounce out of the top 20. There's a chance for a ton of guys to get into the bottom 20 and make their first ever Coke Series starts. And if you want to learn more about how everything eNASCAR works, especially in how to get into this Coke Series, you can log on to eNASCAR.com today. But to just finish my point, Evan, about the upswing for Ryan Luza and Seth the Merchant FGR Excel, the past 2 weeks have been stellar for them. Career high, or best finish of the season, 3rd for the Merchant earlier on at Charlotte, then a best season finish of 2nd last week in Nashville for Luza, who's already pouncing on Daniel Falkingham for the 2nd place spot. This team struggled a little bit in the opening weeks of the season. Once they got into segment 2, all those intermediate tracks gave them a chance or two to move their way up to the field and make statement appearances, and the Merchant and Luza have proven that they've still got it clearly as the Merchant tries to fight through the mid-pack here.
Yeah, it has been quite a turnaround for the fireman, Seth the Merchant. 3 straight top 10 finishes after he finished outside of the top 30 in 3 of the first 4. So things are really turning around for that crew, and they find themselves on the cusp of that magic top 20 cut line. Back inside of the top 10, watching the 77 of Wilson. On the inside of the 21 of Guest. It's a battle for P5 and 6, but the speed off of the 20 degrees of banking up top compared to the 17 on the bottom gave Guest the advantage. He's able to clear the 77. Looks like Wilson will tuck up in line, and a battle brewing in front of them. Ryan Luza. Going to see the 24 Casey Kerwin squeeze to the bottom. Can the Coke Chevrolet make the pass down low as that bottom lane worked in enough? Maybe not enough this time at 1 and 2. The speed is up top. Luza's got all the momentum as they come off the corner, but he's boxed in, nowhere to go. They'll just drive right into the bumper of Falkingham. Now he'll cut down to the inside.
You're going to see this all night long, Evan. Drivers going up to that outside wall to gain that momentum off of corner exit, particularly here off of turn 4. This Kansas track for right now has been conducive to inside line racing, but from what we've seen, the outside can be used. How about 4 wide? Donovan Strauss in the middle. There is Dylan Alt on the outside, and all the way at the bottom, I believe that was Michael Cozy Jr. just trying to squeeze through. Strauss in the middle, 3 still as they come out of the 2nd corner. Jimmy Mullis has arrived to the scene, so has Kwame Scott. And what we're seeing, Evan, is the blend in this long green flag run. The drivers at the front starting to get scrappy. The drivers in the mid-pack starting to make their moves. Cozy with a solid dive to the bottom. The lunge works out, and he steps up into the top 25.
Yeah, aggressive stuff for Cozy. On the other hand of that, Christopher Hill's the one who pulled the ejector seat and dropped out of that 4-wide battle. He wanted nothing to do with it, and in the end, it's going to cost him 2 or 3 spots. The drivers who stayed in it end up getting positions gained. Hill's back in 27th. What's he going to be able to do in this larger battle? And then again, the battle for the lead up front is really all of these drivers. I mean, you've still got the top 8 drivers within 1 second of the leader. So despite the fact that Parker White has led 30 laps, make it 31 that time by the stripe, it has been not by a large margin. He has not been able to pull away from the likes of Falkenham, Luza, Guest, and others. Plenty of fast race cars that seem to have the speed to contend for the race win right now up in that top picture.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of them still continue to congest together, and I'm going to be surprised if they continue to stay together when we get another green flag run in, or if we stay green when we get to halfway at about lap 50. But it's going to be interesting to see how these top 2 considerably keep this race alive in the top 2 positions, because Parker White has had some shaky weeks, finishes outside of the top 15. Daniel Falkingham coming off of his worst finish of the season, dead last in a struggle-filled Nashville Super Speedway race. And take this, they're in only their first Coke Series Kansas start, and there's trouble on the back straightaway. There's a spinner, and I believe it might have been Cody Bias that got a touch to the outside wall. Him and I believe Briar LaPrade made contact. Bias stays on the racetrack, and we're going to stay green through 33 laps.
It was indeed Bias, got tied up a little bit too there with Zelensky, so more trouble with Zelensky. Cannot catch a break yet in this race, but it stayed green. Nobody went all the way around. They did get kind of hooked together and into the outside wall, but we continue on up front after a close call that time off of turn number 2. It is Parker White leading the battle for second odd back. As you can see, Falkenham up top, Guest on the bottom. 39 still got the better spot, and he'll maintain. And after Kerwin tried to make a pass on the inside a few laps ago, now that 24 Chevy looking to the outside of the racetrack, all the way up against the wall. It's a great shot. There's a couple of cars in the middle, but most of them all the way down to the bottom or all the way to the outside. Let's take a second look at what happened off the 2.
It was middle 3 wide. That's Alexander Russell on the inside, Quentin Warman on the top side. Bias getting loose with a touch there, and poor Bobby Zelensky, nowhere to go there on the outside wall. Talk about that issue on the opening lap on the initial start, and then all of a sudden getting tapped here. Potential nose damage there for the ERA Esports Chevrolet, and Bias getting the worst end of it all, already dropping to 39th place. And no caution waving on the speedway, so he's going to have a damaged car, and he's going to have a ton of lost time. So it's going to be a very long road for Bias to get himself back up and going, as the battle for the lead is starting to kind of dwindle out a little bit as Parker White pulls away. How about Blaze Crawford? That's the hard East Coca-Cola Chevrolet that we're seeing up at the top 28. Evan, we've seen some good stuff from Blaze Crawford over the course of his rookie campaign. Hasn't found the magic as of late, but he's got some rookies around him. Nate Stewart in 29th, Connor Euroshak up the road, who captured a top 10 earlier this season, I believe at Rockingham Speedway, one of our longest races of the season. So really cool look, great paint scheme that Crawford debuted a couple of weeks ago in this series, and nearly 3 wide again with the likes of Donovan Strauss, Christopher Hill, those guys battling for 24th up the road.
Yeah, and Blaze Crawford, as you got the look there of the Coca-Cola onboard, I mean, his strength has been consistency. He is the highest running rookie in the points through 8 rounds, sits 15th in the standings. Next closest would be Connor Euroshak, who sits back there in 20th position. And there hasn't been any, stellar, big, flashy moments, but he's got a pair of top 10s. And then a lot of finishes in the low 20s. He's been able to maximize the midfield, and he needs to do that again tonight. P28, if he finishes back there, would be his worst result of the year. Again, it could be a lot worse, but his strength has been finding those extra 5 spots that those other drivers haven't been able to, and avoiding the really bad nights. You mentioned up front the battle for the lead simmering just a touch. Parker White, 3-car length advantage. Hard to say it's comfortable, but maybe the most comfortable he's had it yet tonight as he continues to stay on the bottom. That's where the 95 wants to be. Kerwin, we've seen surging. Wilson, we've seen surging. Both of these cars have marched their way through the field. Kerwin started 14th. Wilson started 22nd. What have they figured out in traffic and under these race conditions that Parker White may not have been working on as the leader? They sit second and third. Can they get to him? The challenge, and a big battle for 4th brewing behind those breakaway 3.
And you're looking at the cliff get around to the tire wear on these drivers, and it's starting to negatively affect the drivers like Daniel Falkingham, who have been running second all race. He's dropped now to 5th in this huge battle for track position. Ryan Luza made some moves up had his way to third, but all of a sudden started hemorrhaging spots as soon as he moved up to the outside lane. The tires are starting to cook here at Kansas Speedway. So for right now, we're seeing those drivers move up in the likes of Kerwin and Wilson, but a lot of the drivers starting to fall off in the midst of this strategy. And Eddie Kerner on the other end of the Six Karma Esports group has had a rough start to 2025 in his rookie campaign. Harsh realities for Kerner, who was the Contender Series champion earlier or late last year in 2024, and a great run building so far, career best for Kerner. He's going to have a bit of drafting help down the back straightaway with Daniel Falkingham. And another guy in the rearview mirror that needs a good run tonight, that's that Mayhole Chevrolet of Jordy Lopez. As Steven Wilson got his tire where to be with a little more life than Parker White Chevrolet on the outside. First proper battle for the lead as they head to turn one.
Looked like Wilson got a little bit of the grass that time by the front stretch. Don't know if it slowed him down at all. And now Parker White deviates from his lane. He has been on the bottom all night, but it seems pretty clear the outside, the better defensive lane still. So with the 77 pressuring, Parker White goes up top. He is going to make either Wilson or Kerwin make this move on the inside. And Tucker Minter on the seat also. Watch it on from the number 4 position. They'll all drop it down to the apron. Shortcut that front stretch just a little bit. White, Wilson, Kerwin, Minter, your top 4. Now that 97 right up to the fence as Parker White's able to return to the bottom for at least a corner.
This has been the story for Tucker Minter all throughout segment 2 after Talladega. It's long green flag run, you're going to see that 97 car. Long green flag stretch, you're going to see Minter in the rearview mirror, and he's going to start carving his way through no matter what. Kind of took him a little while to get his car ready to go, but as soon as this long green flag run kicked in, obviously that Logitech G Chevrolet is going to start to make an imprint on things. But I really wonder how this kind of mini battle between Wilson and Minter is going to fully step out here if they're able to take the lead and continue through halfway, because Wilson on both ends back in Nashville and Charlotte, worn tires didn't help out with it.
And we quickly start to approach the halfway point in this race. You look back on the strategy that we talked about at the start of the night. You can go 58 to 62 laps on fuel, but we suspected most drivers would not want to go much more than 50 on the tires. Well, that would split this race right in half. We saw a similar strategy in that race that went green at Nashville just 7 days ago. So as we are 5 laps away from being halfway home, are we on the cusp of seeing a green flag pit cycle? The bank is open. If you pit now, you are good to go the distance.
And we'll see the guys in the mid-pack elect to try that a bit of an earlier strategy as Minter goes up for the lead. And a great run building in the top 5 for Jordy Lopez as Wilson gets a good look middle, 3 wide in the battle for the lead. Heading to turn 1, Minter will back out. Wilson eggs on through, and he's been able to move up through as Parker White gets a look up top. But Jordy Lopez, you know, to think of the first 3 races of the season, 2 of them have been top 10 runs. And then came Richmond, a top starting spot, ended up on the pole, and then got a quick penalty after some troubles. And from there, it's felt like the season is downward spiraled a little bit. 28th, 18th, 13th, and then 31st last week in Nashville Super Speedway. For Jordy, it's been a really tough beginning of the season, and halfway through the regular campaign is where he can try and turn things around. Lopez, who is already a series winner, is going to try to push his way forward into the top 8 and already putting up a good run as Parker White puts on the textbook crossover. Look to the inside. Minter will offer Wilson some help. Entering turn 3, fight for the lead, still within 3 or 4, now 5 cars with Michael Guest in the background.
And when Parker White really slow on exit, it washed up the hill, and here's the opening. Wilson 3 wide through the center, cuts down to the inside, and at lap number 48, new race leader is Steven Wilson. He'll choose the outside. Minter's all the way on the bottom, and Parker White in the center. 95 can't do it, but the 97 can. Minter slides up and clear, a second lead change, and a half mile barely, and the 97 car now in control as they come off at turn 4.
It's a wide open invitation to everyone, but the yellow comes out, and it's a 1-car incident. Blake McCandless sideways on the back straightaway. He was all by himself there, and I'm not sure whether he had some help there off of turn 2 or what, but McCandless ends up in trouble, and I guess that'll break up the action. Take a sigh of relief, Evan. What a battle for the lead that was between the top 3, and they were just about to let 4th, 5th, 6th place into the party because Michael Guest had picked up speed. Jordy Lopez had picked up speed. Ryan Luza, who's been around all run long, was going to be there inside the top 7, so it could have easily been a way bigger fight than what we inevitably saw there right before the yellow, which I guess coincidentally comes at halfway, so it'd be a perfect time for everyone to take their first pit stop of the night.
And we were about to see a really exciting green flag pit cycle. Now it's all going to happen under the yellow flag. It does mean that mistakes going to be more critical because everybody to pit road together. Some of these drivers pitted after the end of lap number 1, but for the most part, everybody on the same strategy. Old, worn out, 49-lap-old tires. They're coming for fuel and tires to go the distance.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. And by Sunoco. From fueling your favorite NASCAR teams to filling up at the pump, Sunoco is trusted to help vehicles perform at their peak. Sunoco. Performance is what we do.
And with that, it is the Logitech G Chevrolet of Tucker Minter. First on to pit road, first off of pit road. What a timely pass for him to take the race lead away from Steven Wilson. He comes down pit road first. It is 4 tires and fuel for everybody in your running order, and they will cycle back out. Minter first, Wilson second, White now drops to 3rd, Kerwin in 4th, and Michael Guest a number 5 spot. And after this race seemed pretty wide open, and don't get me wrong, we are a long way from home, but after all of that, we're halfway through, and Tucker Minter and Steven Wilson are your top 2 cars, the winningest drivers on the year. Let's take a second look from the blimp at what happened to Blake McCandless.
It's a 3-car battle here. That's the inside machine of Alexander Russell, Tyler Gary on the high side. And, you know, I talked about the inside checkup because the right front tire is starting to squeal over the long run. It's kind of what happened to McCandless there. Made the move through the middle, car washed up. He had to back out just a little bit. And from there, Russell makes the slight contact on the quarter panel of that H Chevrolet, and that's more than enough to send McCandless sideways, and then in the attempt to save it, ultimately goes for the mostly harmless spin down the back straightaway. But it was perfect timing for everybody, right? If you had a pretty struggle-filled opening run to this race, now you can use those notes off of the first pit stop with no pressure, with pit road speeding, or with track position that you'll gain or lose with an under or overcut. Now everybody's on a level playing field without any of the problems of green flag pit stop strategy, and now they can focus in on what may be the final run of this race, but it could get very well crazier given how great that run for the top spot was between the top 3.
Yeah, everybody's got enough fuel to go the distance. Your pole sitter Parker White, first time he's going to be dealing with traffic. What can he do? We have yet to see a pole sitter win a race in 2025. Parker White wants to make it happen. He'd have to do it from row number 2 here in round 9. Green flag back in the air with 49 laps to go in Kansas. It's a good jump on the inside. Minter jumps up top. He's got 2 car lengths worth of a lead as they go through the gears.
And there was a hip check in the middle 3 wide. That's Michael Cozy Jr. was switching lanes as they were coming to turn 1. Went up high to follow Eddie Kerner, but then came back down low. And in the midst of that group was Jordy Lopez. They made side-to-side contact, mostly harmless as they come back around to the start-finish stripe. But Michael Cozy Jr., the aggression, trying to step up forward for the driver who finished runner-up in one of our previous mile-and-a-half races at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And more issues at the back. A car sideways, and this time it's Garrett Lowe skipping through the grass. Our 2022 winner is at the heart of the incident with 48 to go.
He's in as well. It looked like, again, Bobby Zelensky was off and through the grass. What a night it has been for the Segment 2 points leader coming into this race, as that's at least the 3rd incident that he has been involved in or close to. And we'll wind it back to see what equation puts the 99 and the 22 in this incident together. They were tail end of the top 20 as they head off into turn number 3. That's the 99, center of it all in Garrett Lowe. You're going to see the 22 is Zelensky on the bottom. And it looked like maybe that 22 touch, kind of pushed up a touch. Garrett Lowe didn't have much more room. He could have gone higher. They were 3 wide with that 17 to Timmy Holmes.
It's a difficult place to be that inside car because you're trying so hard to stay up in pace, and that means putting in more throttle input at the exit of the corner, but the car doesn't really respond there for Zelensky, and then in the midst of checking up, the car steps out a bit, and it's minor contact, very minor contact to the BS Plus competition 99 of Lowe, but you'll see it again, that nose just barely gets the quarter panel. It's a hard place at the exit of turn 4 to save the race car in the middle 3 wide, let alone, and it's a great save after the fact by Lowe to keep it through the grass, avoid any other cars, and thankfully the rest of the field stays out of the way. Here's a look from further on back, the smoke billowing from the 99. Great avoidance by Matt Busa, who was involved in our first caution of the race, right exactly at that moment. Exit turn 4, tri-oval to the start-finish line. That's where Busa had found the outside wall, and Garrett Lowe ends up on pit road. The 2022 winner, right now, not in a place to defend his crown in America's heartland.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Garrett Lowe. I've seen his teammate Jordi Lopez doing some virtual drifting events with the BS competition, but not what Garrett wants to be doing here in the Coke Series, and he's on pit road with some front-end damage. You take a look at the picks from Countdown to Green and where they sit right now. Camille went with Steven Wilson, the 77, running up in the number 2 position. Allen went with Tucker Minter. He is your race leader. And Ryan went with Casey Kerwin. He is in 3rd. So 3 different picks, all running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'm not going to lie, that's pretty impressive by our analysts.
They were locked in prior to this race. I don't know what kind of analysis they had in the midst of the week between Nashville and this race here at Kansas, but they really had it all in. And by the way, these are 3 guys trying to manifest that bread and cheese and make some sandwiches with a segment 2 victory, especially given the circumstance with Bobby Zelensky kind of being involved in a lot of the incidents tonight and finding a lot of trouble. You think of these 3 and you think all 3 of them have a valuable case to be a segment 2 champion. And think of the 2 of the last 5 winners that made it to the championship 4, both of them being Nick Ottinger and Zach Novak, 2019 and 2020. From what we've seen between Tucker Minter and Steven Wilson tonight, Evan, they've been the most dominant drivers of the field. I think there is definitely a case also for them to go ahead, win this race from Kansas, get the segment 2 championship, and walk away with the title come October.
Second time tonight, we have a caution flag within a lap of a restart or start. So once again, we will go single file. We did this after the initial start of the race, then had a long 45-lap run to the halfway point. Will history repeat itself in the second half? Quick yellow, and now a restart this time with 45 laps to go. Tucker Minter, the man in control up front, as there is big trouble in turn number 4. Only half of the field was lined up single file. Something at the tail end of the top 20 has half of your field in a mess getting up to speed. There they are 3 wide into turn number 1. It is green. It is a restart regardless, but what a mess that was in the midfield off of turn 4.
And it started with a 36 car, Kwame Scott. He was going 64 miles an hour as they were coming to turn 4. Zach Novak, the tailing car in the first pack that just separated here, that was running in P17, he was going 72 miles an hour. So there was some sort of miscommunication there, a huge gap. And then everyone realized we're coming to the green flag. We can't make passes on the inside or outside, or else we're probably going to be penalized by race control before the start-finish line on the restart. So they all just got checked up and had nowhere to go all the way to the back. And I think there was some connection issues with Kwame Scott. Evan, he is out of this race. His Chevrolet behind the wall at lap 57.
And Kwame Scott has disconnected from the session. He is now reconnecting after he lost connection to the session. So some sort of connection issue on his end, meaning that he probably could not see the rest of the cars. They also probably did not see him. So they were worried, was that car going to reappear? Obviously, that would mess with where cars needed to be positioned, and that, I think, is what led to all of the chaos. Bobby Zelensky and Connor Yurishek both got black flags on the restart. Race control reviewed it, determined that that was not their fault. Those black flags were cleared. So again, minus the chaos, we are official, and we are underway. 3 wide with that number 21 Michael Guest in the middle. Lopez on the bottom. Luza up top. It's a battle for P5 as the iRacing drone chases them off at turn 2.
going to be very frustrating for those guys in the back end of the field, because if this race stays green, it's going to be a million times harder to move their way through the pack when they have already a behind start off of the green flag restart over the last several laps. But great move by Jordi Lopez. Found his way underneath. Michael Guest sort of backed out. Now here comes the rookie Eddie Kerner. Michael Cozy Jr. hanging around in the background. And once again, the fight for second is ignited. Casey Kerwin finding his way to the top end of the banking here at Kansas Speedway. He'll put his nose to the outside. The question is, will he try to duck down low and make a move on Tucker Minter? The answer for right now is no. Minter in the race lead for now, and the top four all within at least a car length or two out of the final corner.
It's a good-looking race car trio running first, second, and third. Parker White slides to the number 4 spot off of the restart as Wilson's able to get ahead of him. White has led 46 laps on the night. Wilson led 1. Minter's led 13, and is Kerwin going to be the 4th driver to lead a lap around the outside? What a move in that preferred lane. Put a 24 car out in front, first time tonight for Casey Kerwin, and maybe caught that 97 by surprise. He'll clear him by a few car lengths. With that move, the 24 gets closer. 5-point difference, 1 point back for Wilson. Minter, still your segment 2 leader with 39 laps to go. Remember, $3,000 and 5 crucial playoff bonus points on the line, which gets paid out tonight.
You know what this reminds me of, Evan? The 5 points between the top 3. The end of segment 1 between Zach Novak, Steven Wilson, and company. They were that close going into that final race, and they are just as close here now within the final half of this Kansas race tonight. And think of Casey Kerwin, the story of the last several intermediate races, the most notably being Charlotte Motor Speedway, and one where he was up front, could have had a chance to lead laps, but was just hanging in the top 3 and 4 by the time the strategy had come around with Minter in control. And Kerwin had come around, spun off of turn 2, and that kind of derailed his race by the final segment as they entered overtime tonight in a hometown performance for the team he's running for in the Kansas City Pioneers. This could be the breakthrough moment for the 2022 Series champion, but now the biggest question is, how does Tucker Minter respond? He's caught up in his sandwich now, middle of this 3-car group, because if he ends up failing on one of his attempts for the top spot, there's Wilson, there's Parker White, and there's a long list of drivers right behind that goes all the way back to the fight for P6 between Eddie Kerner and Jordi Lopez.
Yeah, Casey Kerwin has been really good so far in this segment. Sat on the pole at Charlotte, led the most laps in Talladega, but would love to not only get a race win here tonight in hopes of being the segment 2 champ, but would love to be a race winner tonight and try to lock himself into the playoffs here in 2025. Kerwin's last win coming in May of 2023 at the Darlington Raceway. Can it be a return to victory lane or that 24 Chevy out in front? Again, we have not seen big gaps for the lead at all tonight, so he'll take what he can get at about a car length and change. Back at the tail end of the top 10, and white and gold 21 Michael Guest, the only driver way up on the outside. He and Eddie Kerner in a battle for position number 8.
A bulk of drivers here who was strong in the opening run and now are just kind of fending for what they could here. How about 3 wide again? Michael Guest sending the lunge from the high end of the banking on the outside of that ERE Esports number 34. That was Eddie Kerner down the inside, just had to back out, and Daniel Falkingham in the group as well with Seth the Merchant running in P9. And when you think of Kansas, a racetrack that hasn't been featured as much lately, it stopped in 2022, then had a 2-year break, and it returns here in 2025. That means for a bulk of the field, that's 17 drivers, Evan, including the rookie class, that are making their first ever Coke Series Kansas start. That's nearly half the field that are running this track for the very first time. And so far, it's been good news for plenty of them. DeMerchant, Kerner, and Daniel Falkingham have done well. Parker White in his first start up in P4 too.
Back on the board with Seth the Merchant, as we want to give you one last chance for NASCAR Fan Awards members to enter tonight's exclusive code, Kansas 36K, on your member dashboard. Lock in your 50 points. Again, it's not too late to sign up. Scan the QR code on screen or NASCAR.com/fan rewards and get in on the fun. Kansas 36K, your fan rewards code here tonight for round number 9. Look at the 3 wide. Best seat in the house right now is Seth the Merchant as he's watching that 21 Michael Guest continue to pound the pavement and try to make moves up on the outside line. Cozy doing it on the opposite end of the racetrack. That 34 Core Power Chevy all the way on the bottom making moves. Both of them in a battle for position right now as they close in on Ryan Luza.
And in a driver's perspective, Evan, it can get very frustrating if you're very loyal to the mid-seam or the very bottom of the racetrack and you're seeing drivers sort of slingshot from the outside and freight train you. It could get very frustrating, but again, if we end up in a long green flag run, the guys usually run the bottom, they save their right front tire the best, and more often than not, that's when they start cutting through the field, when the guys ahead of them start reaching that tire cliff. And speaking of, Casey Kerwin just had a poor set of corners, and it allowed Tucker Minter to get a great run off turn 2. Flailed his Chevrolet to the inside, and Tucker Minter, the 3-time winner this season, makes his way back to the front with 31 laps to go.
And we've already matched passes for the race lead in the last 20 laps that we had in the first 50. It is ramping up front. Only 4 drivers have led laps in this race. They all run 1, 2, 3, and 4 right now. But who is the next man up? Can Michael Cozy Jr. enter that conversation? Again, that 34 seemingly finding success on the bottom, which is where a lot of drivers have struggled tonight. He's ahead of Luza, now looking to the inside, trying to make a move on Parker White. And behind all of that, Christopher Hill.
And this is a drive that started back in 26, so he's +8, but he's slowly starting to catch up to Zach Novak, who is that final car in the top 17. Because of that restart, it basically cut the field in half. And Hill, you look at Kwame Scott, Connor Yuroshek, Colin Keister, Blaze Crawford, the list goes on. A bunch of drivers that are just trying to get back up to the front here, and they're going to play it really aggressively. The big crutch for them is that they're probably going to use up their set of Goodyear Eagles if this race continues to stay green. So they'll either need a yellow to just bunch back up naturally, or they can just find their way up and then get a yellow to which they can pit with everybody else and gain some track position along the way. So it's going to be a hard grind for those guys, 18th on back, to move their way forward. And you got to think how much of a negative sign that is for those guys if they do not get a yellow flag for the rest of this event.
And quite astounding that this far removed from the restart, you can still see that clear divide between the cars that were able to restart without incident and the people that were stuck behind the confusion and chaos as they came to the green off of turn number 4. So Minter to the lead, but for how long? Steven Wilson on the bumper. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. And again, Michael Cozy Jr. still trying on the bottom. He's clear of Parker White in the center, but the top's got all that speed on exit. Look at the 24. Big run off the corner. Parker White follows him through. That's good for about 2.5 car lengths of difference. Exit of the corner to end of the straightaway. That is the advantage that the drivers up top, the 3 degrees of banking more up on the wall than down on the line makes a big difference. And if Parker White wants to go from being defense to playing some offense, he'll slice down to the inside of the 24. And after using the outside to hold off the challenge, he now has his own opportunity to try to make the inside line work.
Textbook demonstration of what that outside line is used for, especially in this run. You run up high to either play defense, and then you get a good run on the driver right in front, and that's where you can kind of pin your car to the inside and make a move entering turns 3 and 4, which gets a little harder because that outside wall comes up very quickly there on the other end of the racetrack versus in 1 and 2, but it's one that has seemingly worked before with a lot of guys in this pack. So it's a very keen balance on running the top, seeing what you can do in that clean air, and then building up that run to the point where you can start putting a little more pressure on the guy right in front. It's what allowed Tucker Minter to get around Casey Kerwin in the challenge for the lead. It's what's allowing Parker White to get up to the inside of Kerwin for 3rd, and it is what is helping Steven Wilson stay within at least a car length of the top spot driver in Minter. He ran the top side the last lap through. It gave him a good run off turn 4. He was able to stay within touch of Minter, and now he's got a shot at the lead.
And you see the Dale Earnhardt Jr. trophy in the shot there with Steven Wilson. Friendly reminder from your 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. Parker White has been in those conversations. Since then, the signature Minter lean on his camera, the bottom left for your leader, almost trying to will that car through the corner to help it rotate on exit. But the 77 Wilson, much better run that time off of 2 to the bottom. Could have thrown it in there. Instead, checked up a little bit, pulled back in line. Wilson maybe experimented with where and when he wants to make the move. It just seems like that 77 is firing off of the corner better than what the 97 is right now.
Yeah, but the last thing you want to do if you're Wilson is throw it to the inside, and then the car washes up, and then you have to lay off the throttle, and by the time you do so, boom, here's Parker White, here's Casey Kerwin, here's Michael Cozy Jr., and the rest of the pack. So Wilson is just trying to methodically figure out what is the best way of either getting to the outside or inside of Minter without costing that much speed if it's a failed attempt. We noted how tough track position is to come by, especially as these tires run through. So Wilson, out of turn 4, now starts to plan his attack. He'll move to the bottom side of the tri-oval and try to make a dive into turn 1. Minter will pin him down to the very inside of the racetrack, and that is what's going to stay with Wilson slowing down in the corner. Here comes Parker White with the move up high, 3 wide for the race lead off of turn 2, and Parker White gets back to the top spot in a fell swoop.
Minter stayed lower to seal off the 77, and the 95 of Parker White caught them both by surprise. Off of 4, back to the race lead goes the 95. What a move for Parker White. He goes back to P1. Minter second. Wilson has to hit the reset button. That did not play out in his favor. He's in a battle for third with Michael Cozy Jr., who continues to lap after lap try to make moves work down on the inside line. As this time by, there will be only 20 laps to go here at the Kansas Speedway. Let's wind it back a few laps, take a second look at what happened a few laps ago. On board with Femi Alatunbosin, that's Dylan Alt in the 47.
Oh, look at that slide job. That is what you got to do here at Kansas when it's tough to pass on the bottom. Fling it in and hope that it all sticks out, and ultimately just got kind of sandwiched there. Eddie Kerner made the move on the inside, but sometimes you got to do that. We saw a lot of that at Charlotte, especially when the tires were down on their life, and you really had to work hard to get this car rotated. A lot of guys were doing that, and Wilson's going to try it himself. This time in the battle for the lead, he backs up Parker White at the exit of turn 4, and Tucker Minter will get a look down low. Casey Kerwin will try to help Parker White. Never mind. 3 wide for second back to turn 1.
And Parker White let Steven Wilson get away with one there. He lifted and allowed that 77 to pull up in front. Will that calm-headed driving for the 95 of White pay out in the end? Or is it going to be a big mistake there because he cut that 77 a big break after an aggressive slide job out of the 77 cam? So now Wilson back out in front. Could have been worse for Parker White with that 3 wide move by Kerwin. He's able to defend second. And now it's Minter down to third. The 24 Kerwin fourth. Michael Cozy Jr. still knocking on the door. Somebody let him into the party. He's stuck in P5. He cannot get that one extra spot, but he wants to join the conversation. Luz is there. Guest is there. Falkingham is there. It is 7, make it 8 race cars under 1/2 of a second. It is the home stretch here at Kansas.
It's a split group, and the back end of this top 8 are just trying to switch the playlist of what they're hearing at the front of this field, because it's the same 3 that have been dominant for most of this race, particularly right before that halfway caution came out. And for Michael Cozy Jr., think of the moment earlier in this season where he fell short to Colin Keister in the waning laps at Las Vegas Motor Speedway after a very well-timed pit road decision to get fresh tires and cut his way through the field. Cozy is very hungry to try and get his win here at Kansas Speedway, given his 1.5-mile success. 2 top 10s in the official 1.5-mile tracks that we've run this season, and that does include a 7 at Charlotte just a couple of weeks ago. And Cozy's been the aggressor here over the course of this run. But a very quiet dark horse in this group is Vicente Salas, rolled off 29th in this race, Evan, and the Canaan Esports Toyota Camry, who has been in contention to win a bulk of these races in 2025, is just now starting to put his name in the fold.
He's the second biggest mover in this field, second only to Cozy, who's gained 23. How about 4 wide as they come off of turn number 4? The 34 car, slowest of them all. Who is he going to be the loser in that one after he lost the nose of the car? And the center returns 3 and 4. So they're starting to scrap elsewhere in this battle amongst your top 10 cars, and it may provide some reprieve to the leaders. Salas just sees the 7 of Olatunbosin slot in line. Now he'll jump up, take take the nose off of Lopez and find his own spot in line up on the outside. There is no more give. It is only take. 14 laps to go. This time by Wilson, opening the advantage for P1.
All of that because they're fighting for second place. Parker White and Tucker Minter have been very aggressive and continuing to hold on to the runner-up position. All the while, with Casey Kerwin hot on their tail, Wilson's been able to clear out. Better rotation through the corners. Minter hasn't been able to respond yet, but there's still 14 laps, 13 laps of the stripe. So there's a lot of time for Minter to play around with what lines work and what gives his car the edge. And that time by just picked up some time on the race leader as he pulled away from the Atlassian Williams Sim Racing car of White. So there is still a lot to work for here. It's just everyone trying to spoil the group, running 7th on back with Michael Guest, Daniel Falkingham, Eddie Kerner in the lot. They are doing their best to push forward and puncture whatever is going on at the front of this field. All the while, Wilson sees the clean air and he sees the Segment 2 championship just 12 laps away.
Trying to do what Zach Novak did earlier in the year when Novak won the Segment 1 championship. He already knows that he's got at least 5 playoff bonus points. The 77 to Steven Wilson wants to do the same. And these race wins for Wilson and Minter, consequential not just in a historical context, right? It's exciting to see these two drivers put on the performances that they have through these first 8 rounds. But there are 10 spots in the playoffs. That remains true whether we have 14 different race winners in the regular season or 4. So the more that these cars return to victory lane, the more positions on points will be available into the playoffs, and that is big news for some of the drivers on the playoff bubble.
It's going to mean more variety for those guys that want to point their way in, but also think about how many playoff bonus points are being awarded because these two have been dominating the season. That means bonus points that are not given to literally anyone else. And in that first round of the playoffs at Michigan, when the drivers get in there and try to lock in to get into that championship 4, that means the buffer is going to be much bigger between everyone else and then Wilson and Minter kind of in their own galaxy as far as points are concerned. So you got to be really worried if you continue to see these two continuing to rack off win by win. You think of the dominance between these two this year, Evan. Last season, through 8 races, we had 7 different race winners. We only have 4 through 8 races this year, and that's because of these two guys who have been the best so far. And I'm saying Minter is starting to find his groove. He's got some good runs. He's found better rotation. He's played with the lines, and coming to 9 laps to go is where Minter's going to throw his arrow at the 77. Tucker Minter takes the lead. Crossover by Wilson off 4.
Steven Wilson crosses back down to the inside. He'll lead at the stripe, but what can he do in turns 1 and 2? Minter still occupies the preferred outer lane. No big slide job by Wilson. Now he'll pull up off a 2. Does he clear him? He does. And across back over to the inside. Minter not done yet. 2 Goliaths of this 2025 season exchanging blows in the final laps here in Kansas. That time, Minter cannot clear Wilson back. The 77 uses the outside to clear once more for the race lead.
These two have to be very tactful, Evan, about what they do, whether line they choose, and if they continue to battle, because it could be a losing proposition. Parker White, Casey Kerwin, and Daniel Falkingham are not that far away. So with how many battles we've seen bring in a ton of other race drivers, it could very well be a spoiler here as the guys start on back, save a bit of their Goodyear Eagles. Once again, Minter's going to throw his car to the inside. It won't work off of turn 4. 7 laps to go here from Kansas, and the 2 best drivers in the season going toe-to-toe, and the defending series champion hanging by in the 3rd spot.
Spoiler has been the name of the game this season. Only twice in 8 races this year has the driver who has led the most laps actually win the race. Is there somebody else waiting in the wings to join this conversation? Minter got him into the quarter panel. Wilson down the backstretch. They're pretty much even. 1 in the middle of the racetrack, 1 on the outside as they race off of 4. Parker White follows high. Casey Kerwin dives low from 4th. Sideways that time. Big moment for Minter. The car broke loose. And will that pay benefit to Wilson on the outside? Nose to nose through the corner, but look at the run he has off of turn 2.
And thankfully for Minter there, the pressure is only in the form of Parker White. Casey Kerwin kind of backed up there. Michael Guest sent his car sailing into the corner for a slide job attempt on Daniel Falkingham, and things didn't pan out, so Kerwin will lose a bit of time. Wilson trying to make to the move to the inside, and it's denied at the door. Tucker Minter staying ahead with 5 laps to go from Kansas Speedway. White's going to run up high. He'll stay in the dirty air of the 77 car, and all the while Minter can try and pull away in these final few.
77 smacked the fence that last time at a Ford. Does that take anything out of that race car? He'll go to the outside. Interesting defensive decision. Minter, who's been defensive up top all night, elects to go to the inside of the racetrack. It's going to get him the track position through the corner, but it's going to give Steven Wilson the speed and momentum off the corner. What a move to the outside! Wilson with a huge run. Swipes up top on the 97 car. Is it going to put him back in the race lead? The 97 cannot clear him on exit. Wilson still there once more. These two continue to put on a show. It's White in third, Kerwin in fourth. Are they close enough? Side by side. Caution! Coming to 3 laps to go. This race will go to overtime. And will they give it to Minter, who was in front at the moment of the caution?
I think it was Steven Wilson. He's starting to take the position away, but they're going to give it to Minter nonetheless, and it's going to be a remembering moment from Charlotte 2 weeks ago where Minter's going to have to hold the field off in overtime conditions. You saw the spinning Dylan Duval that was off the nose of Logan Clampett's 42 car. That was the battle for position for about 30 seconds, I believe, off of turn 2. And what a drive for Wilson there to power on the outside, Evan. It was a smart drive because you move up into the corner and you start playing with the wall proximity air that splits the difference between the side of the race car and the outside safer barrier. Wilson was using that air as a cushion to kind of lean on at the exit of turns 2 and 4, and it worked out to his benefit. He's going to be on the opposite end of the situation here through the restart, but wholesale service on pit road.
Let's take a second look at what happened in that battle for 32nd position. Duval on the outside. It's Logan Clampett on the bottom. As they come off of turn number 2, I don't really see much movement from Dylan up there. I think that's just aggressive driving late. Looks like Logan was just trying to get a little bit of side draft off of that quarter panel of the 199 and just spun the track racer machine out. So everybody is down pit road except for LaPrade. 3 wide off of pit road. The 77 is the first car. No, is it Tucker Minter? First car off of pit road. 2 tire decisions for the first 6 drivers off the pit lane. Not to mention that Briar LaPrade will stay out and contest on 50-lap old tires.
Oh, man.
This is eNASCAR overtime.
You know, we saw this, Evan, with the other teammate for Junior Motorsports. When Blake McCandless did this all that while ago, didn't work out in his favor. But when you have a season as rough as LaPrade and McCandless have so far, why not try it out and give yourself a shot? Because what if they wreck right after the restart and you have the race lead, the fresh tire cars can't get to you, and all of a sudden you've got a heavier shot at winning this race? LaPrade, you got to give credit to just him trying to throw things into the sink and hope that it all works out. But what a race off pit road. The 2-tire call between Minter, Wilson, and Parker White. Basically 3 wide at the stripe as they were coming down to that timing line. And once more, we're going to have another 1.5-mile race settled by an overtime restart. And Evan, this is how it's going to go. Between Tucker Minter and company 2 weeks ago at Charlotte, took 2 attempts for him to grab the win under green. Let's see if in the first attempt it all works out.
If they make it all the way around to the white flag, this race is official no matter what. If we get a caution before the 1 to go, we will try again. 3 attempts is the max. And I don't know if this is going to end up being really fortunate or really unfortunate for Tucker Minter, right? He was side by side with Wilson at the moment of the yellow, advantage to the 97. They were side by side off of pit road, advantage to the 97. All of those circumstances put him on the outside of row number 1. Is that the place to be? Or is Steven Wilson going to be able to fire off behind the car on old tires and use the inside to find a way through? It is attempt number 1 at eNASCAR overtime. Segment 2 championship is on the line right here, right now in Kansas. Green flag in the air. It's a good start for LaPrade. He'll lead to turn 1.
Slower reaction from Minter. It's going to put Casey Kerwin to the inside, and they're already 3 abreast in the background. That's Dylan Alt trying to fight for 12 with Eddie Kerner and Jordy Lopez in the middle of it all. But here comes Steven Wilson as LaPrade backs up out of turn 2. They'll be 3 wide all the way through to the back straightaway, and Wilson will have one more lap to try and complete his 4th race victory of the season. Kerwin to the inside as they head to the white flag.
Kerwin looking to the inside for second. Big trouble off of 4. Do the leaders get to the white flag? Yes, they do. This race is official. Wilson leads. Minter second. Kerwin watches on from 3rd. What do you do if you're Tucker Minter? He's going to wind it up on the exit at 2. He's got to run down the back straightaway. Looks low. Fades high. Wilson protects on the bottom. Minter going to try to make it work around the outside as they come off at turn 4. Wilson slides up, shuts the door, blocks low to the inside. Steven Wilson, 4-time winner in 2025. What a show for the man who won 3 of the opening 4 races of the season. He was tired of all of the Tucker summer talk. He swings back, gets his 4th win on the year. These two continue to put on a Goliath showdown for the ages. The top 2 drivers on the year are the top 2 drivers that battle it out to the checkered flag. And in the end, it is Steven Wilson standing on top once again. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Well, let's wind the tape back as the celebration goes on. And Kenneth, watch how it all happened as we take a look at our Coca-Cola move of the race.
Well, as Tucker Minter dominated the latest portion of the season, you're not going to have a heavyweight bout without Wilson striking back, and he indeed does so here off the restart. And you prophesized it, Evan. The inside of Road 2 was going to be the best place on the racetrack to be because LaPrade gets the jump. Minter doesn't anticipate the run in enough time. They're already fanning 3 wide, but the focus is on that black and green. Chevy running in second. Wilson is going to fight to the bottom. LaPrade on the old tires inevitably was going to succumb to the main group, and he does there off turn 2. Great place of the racetrack to get around that slower car, and Wilson was just in clean air. All he had to do was fend off that bright blue Chevrolet running in the background. Give credit to Minter, the way he aggressively moved up to the front to get one last shot at Wilson, and it didn't all work out. They crashed in the background. Race control doesn't throw the yellow. They say let them race to the stripe, and so to the checkered flag they go. Wilson maintains up front and surprisingly didn't block up high. You'd think that he would try to deal a bit of dirty air to Minter's Chevrolet, but he doesn't. Gives Minter a chance off of turn 2. Minter tries to look low. Wilson feints the block, doesn't swing his car so far down low that he doesn't miss the corner outright, stays to the faithful inside of the racetrack. And I mean, that's more than enough to seal Wilson his 4th race victory of the season. Continues the streak of wins between these 2 guys, and it was a wild battle to the finish.
And I still look back to those 2 moments when they were side by side. The moment of yellow and coming off of pit road. The 97 won both of those instances, but it put him on the outside for the final restart. That proved to not be the position that he wanted. We take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results tonight. It is race win number 4 of the 2025 season for Steven Wilson, and Tucker Minter also close to number 4 in his own right. What a battle between those two. Casey Kerwin, also great showing for the hometown race for the Kansas City Pioneers. He comes home 3rd ahead of Parker White, who led the most laps and started on pole. He is in 4th. Vicente Salas rounds through your top 5 with Guest, Cozy, Luza, Falkingham, and Lopez, your top 10.
And then the rookie Eddie Kerner, that's his best finish of the 2025 season. A great run for the 6 Karma car. Las Vegas winner Colin Keister had some pace, but it ultimately ends up in 12th with the Merchant back in 13th. Femiola Timbosin was very much shining the opening stint of the race, but just couldn't find his mojo there in the second half. It's 14th for him. Christopher Hill, after the season he's had in his rookie campaign, top 15. Great run for him. Connor Euroshak back in 16th, and ton of rookies here. Blaze Crawford in that as well. Then Donovan Strauss, Nick Ottinger, and Jimmy Mullis bring the end of the top 20. Those guys scrapping all the way to the finish line.
And not the night that Bobby Zalenski wanted. Came in eyeing a Segment 2 championship and just could not get away from the trouble tonight. He finishes ahead of one of the rookies in that picture, Eddie Quinton Warman. Zach Novak was a top 10 car. He ends up back here, so not the night that he was looking for. A good pickup for Tyler Gary. It's a great showing for the E-Racer 69 car up there in 23rd, all the way through with Cody Bias and Garrett Lowe, the last cars in the top 30.
And back in 31st, that's Nate Stewart, Alexander Russell, 32nd, Dylan Duvall, who caused the most recent yellow flag of the race to bring out overtime. He's in 33rd, Timmy Holmes in 34th. Dylan Alt there had a strong race car, but ultimately got squandered there in the white flag lap chase as he crashed out of turn 4, and it's 35th for him. Taylor Hurst, Colin Bowden, Briar LaPrade. I mean, that's the list of cars, Evan, that were basically involved in that crash. A lot of them getting the worst end of the stick. That includes LaPrade, who stayed out on old tires, Matt Busa, and then Kwame Scott, who found internet connectivity issues, disconnected from the session, and he ends up 12 laps down for the final spot in our field.
Yeah, that LaPrade fall from 1st to 38th in those final 2 laps. Big gamble did not pay off big here in Kansas. Well, that's a look at your full race results. I'll hand things off to you, Kenneth, as our race winner standing by.
For the 4th time this season, we get to talk to Mr. Steven Wilson. Steven, you had a fight on your hands between yourself and Tucker Minter. Through segment 2, Minter had been on your tail, winning back-to-back races and putting himself in the same rank as you. How hard did you have to fight there in those final few laps and over the course of the race to take back control of this series and now be the winningest driver of 2025 so far?
Yeah, that was really fun. All those lines were working, and I was just driving really hard there that whole second run pretty much. After I got to Tucker's outside, and we were just brawling, so that was a lot of fun. Clean battle as well, which is always good. So this was a racetrack that just suited me. I recommended that we added it to the schedule last year when we were talking about it, and I'm glad they added it, obviously now, but I love racing here. I've always loved racing here. It's just a racetrack that I think provides great racing, and I think we saw middle, bottom, top all feasible tonight, which is really awesome. So I just want to, first off, thank everybody at Spire, thank everybody like David and who was spotting me tonight, and everybody behind the scenes on the setup work. We were really fast tonight, and I'm just really glad to bring it home here, which will be my last race while I'm here in Iowa.
I was just about to say that hometown race on June 17th, and confirmed you are the segment 2 winner. So you get the $3,000, you get the crucial bonus points that'll add to your postseason push for a second title. How important is that as we get to segment 3, which, looking at it blankly, is probably the most diverse set of tracks apart from segment 1 in a grouping we've seen this season?
Yeah, it's really cool to be a segment winner. Obviously, the points that come with it, as well as the money, is really cool. You know, I was thinking about that on the restart, and then I crossed the line and totally blanked. So, yeah, it was really cool. I was thinking about that before. I knew it was between me and Tucker, with Bobby's unfortunate, whatever happened. So, yeah, it's really cool. I love the tracks that we have coming up. Iowa, the home race. I won't be living in Iowa, but I'll be racing at Iowa. It'll still be a home race for me. And then we have Dover and Chicago, which I think I'll be strong at as well. So, really strong sets of tracks. I feel pretty confident about my speed at most places these days. Just been a while since I've won, and it's kind of crazy to say that I have 4 wins, and I was kind of just wondering what I'm doing wrong over these last 3 or 4, but we're back in victory lane. We've had speed and just finally able to close it.
A huge boost and continuing to dominate the 2025 season. Steven, congratulations on your 4th win of the year here at Kansas, and we'll see you in the field in a couple weeks here at Iowa.
Thank you, go Hawks.
Steven Wilson captures win number 4, an outstanding showing, and another great showing for the hometown team, and Casey Kerwin, who ends up 3rd tonight and joins us now. Casey, you had a great view of all that was going on. You were a part of that battle. 3, 4, 5 cars, you name it. Everyone was a part of that group, including yourself. How wild was that, and how disciplined did you have to be to stay with this group, save the tires, and keep that car under you, especially through the long run?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I had a great view of it. It was a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to be a part of it slightly. Yeah, it was good. I feel like I had to chill a bit more than them. I just feel like we were a tick behind. I just didn't quite have as much grip overall as those guys did to kind of go hard and battle for the lead the whole time. Like, I feel like if I ran within that whole run, I would have fell all the way to, 10th. Just thankfully they were racing so hard, and I kind of sat there and was able to take care of it for a few laps. That they kind of burned their stuff off and came back towards me near the end. And then, Yeah, I don't know if I would have had a better shot if it stayed green. It's hard to say. It was so many of us kind of packed up there, but yeah, obviously with the restart, with kind of how the year's gone, I was just hoping we'd at least keep the good finish. And I thought we'd have a chance if Tucker could have gotten a bit closer to throw a bomb at Steven somewhere and try and wind up a run off of 4. But yeah, still very happy with third. Obviously a home race for KCP, and nice to have the Coca-Cola car up front again. For I think the past 3 weeks we've been up front, I've just made some mistakes on my end or had some things go wrong where we just didn't quite finish there. So feels good to finally get it, and good result, and yeah, stack some points with the amount that Tucker and Steven keep winning.
I wouldn't have been surprised if literally everybody in that top 10 threw slide jobs at it and pounded it to the wall, because it was such a wild race. Casey, great finish tonight. It's your best of the season so far. Segment 3 up next. What do you make of the group of tracks that we'll have leading into the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty decent group, but I think the biggest thing is the update next week. It's going to be a pretty massive overhaul on the oval side, I think, between kind of how the tracks are, the tire, the car, everything. So, yeah, it leads into, 3 back-to-back races again, so it's going to be pretty important to try and get off on the right foot there and see how much the racing changes with how the car is going to change and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's pretty good tracks for me, maybe outside of, like, Iowa, I ran good last year, even though I wasn't super confident there, but yeah, I mean, we have Chicago, which I like the road courses, and I feel like all the other ovals are decent shots for me. So thankfully, again, with Steven and Tucker winning as much as they have, there should be a couple spots on points. So hopefully, yeah, we can keep having runs like this and at least be in the hunt for that.
Trying to make that push for your second career Coke Series title, and a great finish tonight, Casey. Congrats on the 3rd place, and we'll see you guys at Iowa in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, man. See ya.
So that's the race winner, Steven Wilson, the 3rd place finisher, Casey Kerwin, after an absolute brawl here from Kansas.
And we've been enjoying this. I mean, this battle tonight and this year with Wilson and Minter giving me flashbacks to some iconic battles. The Alfala versus Humpy days, the Taller versus Davies days. I mean, it is good stuff. And what's a week off as we wait ahead to the Iowa Speedway? Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait a week as we're back at it in 2 weeks' time for the 5-race segment number 3 at iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway. It is such a unique racetrack, Kenneth, in the context of the schedule. But you heard it right there for the drivers. Big build week coming up on the sim, big updates, big changes. There's a lot of unknowns between now and then.
With every passing year of this next-gen car, we continuously get updates that reinvigorate how drivers have to drive the car. This one is going to be no different, maybe the biggest update yet to this next-gen machine. So as they step into Iowa, it means several weeks of preparation, a lot of it trying to understand what the car is all about before they can put their best foot forward at Iowa, and then at Dover the following week. Not going to be there those 2 races. Jake Sperry is going to keep my seat warm, but hopefully as soon as I return from Chicago, we're still going to have a great season between the 2 Goliaths of Wilson and Minter that we've seen.
And we're looking forward to having you back. Until next time, though, that is it for us here tonight from Kansas, where for the 3rd time in his career, Steven Wilson has won 4 races in a single season. That is it. I want to say a big thanks on behalf of our entire team at NASCAR, iRacing, and our broadcast team tonight. For Ryan Vargas, Alan Cavana, Camille Salazar-Hadaway, James Pike, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to say thanks for tuning in, and congratulations to Steven Wilson, your winner tonight in Kansas. We're back in 2 weeks' time. It's Tuesday, June 17th, from iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, good night from Kansas. The Sunoco post-race report starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Sunoco post-race report for tonight's eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series event at Kansas Speedway. I'm James Pike. He's Keenan Kusin. Keenan, I don't know everything, but all I'm saying is if ever there's a universe in which there is the possibility that Kansas Speedway can host the championship race for the Coke Series at some point down the line, sign me up, because this place has consistently delivered in eNASCAR, and it delivered again tonight. Fabulous racing all the way up to and then through that second half, and even the restart was incredibly entertaining.
A little bit of everything tonight, James, and I think it's Kansas making its claim to be the mainstay on the schedule here. Again, gap for 3 years back on the schedule for 2025, and look what it produced. Edge of your seat racing, there was some stuff up and down the board. We had long runs, short runs, good restarts, 3 wide racing for the lead. I think everything that we wanted out of Kansas delivered, and then some.
This is a fabulous track for eNASCAR, and it is a big win for Steven Wilson, who comes your way not only with the checker flag, but with the Segment 2 title over Tucker Minter, even after all of Tucker's wins over the last few weeks. It speaks to how good Steven Wilson has been, even though he hasn't planted that car in victory lane. A reminder to all of you watching in chat that if you have questions for the drivers that we are going to interview, feel free to submit them. You might have the chance to have them answered on this broadcast. But tonight, we're going to start with Tony Kanaan Esports, Vicente Salas, because Vicente messaged me right after the checker, and he said, and I quote, "Get me in there." So, Vicente, what do you have to say to the public?
So, I mean, we started 30th. It was kind of a lottery there in qualifying. You either ran the top, middle. I mean, there were so many lanes to choose from. I chose wrong, so I started 30th, and we quickly made our way up into like the top 15 or so, somewhere around there. And I mean, I think for us to finish P5 all the way from 30th is kind of a story. And I mean, Steve finishing first from like 22nd or something like that. I think this was, honestly, I wasn't expecting this to be a great race, but I mean, you were able to really race around the track and go anywhere you needed to. So this was probably my favorite race of the year, to be honest.
Plus 24 start to finish, which I believe is tied for second highest mover of the night with Michael Cozy Jr. And then Colin Keister took that title overall with 26 spots gained. But still, what does it say about your prowess in the mile and a half so that you can find your way over a relatively short race distance to drive up through the field like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of funny because at Charlotte we started right up front, and you know, we were right there. I don't know if we led, but we were there in the top 3. And that second run when the track rubbered up, we kind of just lost our speed for no reason. So you know, for us to drive from the back to the front and not the opposite, slipping from the front to the back, I think says a lot about what we found the last couple of weeks. We've been working really hard, and not just at the setups, but my racecraft, you know, knowing where to place the car, you know, when to take runs and stuff. So, you know, huge credit to Caden Honeycutt tonight, and, you know, Jonathan Platt the past week helping me a bunch. I think we're firing on all cylinders right now.
Let's bring in our roundtable of esteemed media members covering the eNASCAR landscape, and tonight we start with iRacing's own Justin Malillo.
Thanks, James. Hey, Vicente, congrats on the 5th place finish here tonight. Looking at the points, you're back up inside the top 10. I do got to wonder, do you need to get that win to solidify your place in the standings, or are you going to be able to point your way in over the next 5 races?
I mean, I feel really confident in our speed to go and win. I mean, you've seen how many races we've qualified up front, ironically not this one, but I mean, we're there at the beginning, and, you know, I think we're slowly finding our way, you know, executing at the end and closing them out. So I think it's only a matter of time before we execute that win. But I mean, as for winners, Steve got his 3rd or 4th win tonight. I mean, we've got a bunch of multi-winners, so I think there's going to be some people that make it in on points. Hopefully that's us. If not, we'll be one of the guys that make it in on a win.
With all this momentum, Gente, are you looking forward to segment 3 and all the changes the build may end up bringing? Is that just sort of a clean slate opportunity for you to really sort of plant your flag amongst the Coke Series field?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like at this point, you know, I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years now, so I feel pretty adaptable to what iRacing throws at us and how the car changes and the tires change as they advance, you know, kind of the real life to sim differences. So, you know, as long as we can adapt, you know, hit on all cylinders with the setup and learn the way it races, it'll probably change a little bit there. I think we'll be just as good, if not better, once those changes come out.
Chente, a big congratulations on your big run tonight up to P5, and we know you have a lot coming for the rest of the summer. But before we go, Keenan Kusin, you always have something crazy.
We've got a doozy this week. First of all, welcome back, Vicente. Nice to see you again. Of course, we are in Kansas. So just like in The Wizard of Oz, we're following the yellow brick oval in this hypothetical. You've got 3 teammates that you need to choose for your journey. One for brains, one for heart, and one for courage. And who are you taking and why?
I think I'm taking Bowden for courage, because he'll do anything. I think I'm taking Dylan Duvall for the knowledge. And what was the other one? Courage, heart, courage, heart, knowledge, right?
Yes.
And then for heart, I gotta take Casey. Casey's got just a really great heart.
That's a softer, kinder side of Chente Salas that I don't know too many people have seen before. So how about that? The multifaceted, multi-talented driver for Kanan Esports gets a good job done this evening. Chente, thanks as always. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys. And real quick, if I could thank Kanan Esports, Tony Kanan, everybody on the team that gives me this opportunity to race every week. Miramar Financial for, their real-life support of my career, as well as the Sim, Alpha Prime Racing, Dead Zone Racing, Caden Honeycutt, Jonathan Platt, Dave Siltman, just everybody that makes our program go around and move faster and better every day. So just really, really grateful for everybody I got around me.
As a good support system indeed. As we turn our attention from Chente Salas to William Byron Esports in Warrenton, Virginia's own Tucker Minter. Tucker, we talked about the racing at Charlotte 2 weeks ago, and I forget if it was you specifically, but I know we asked people that night, is that as good as it gets? I feel like we have to come back to this question because for as great as the racing as Charlotte was, it might have been even better tonight. So is that maybe the new high watermark for this next-gen car that we just saw?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's different. I would say here is probably, a little bit better because at Charlotte, it was a little bit easier if you ran the outside line to just make sure that the guy on the inside didn't really have a shot unless he was way faster than you, versus here you could kind of throw more sliders and things like that. But, I guess just depends on what you like. It ended up being a pretty good race tonight.
Got a question from chat that... you've got the connection. This comes from Heroes Motorsports, and you've got the connection with William Byron, obviously very successful in the Cup Series. How big a role does he have just sort of shaping your development, and how big is it just to be connected with Willie B?
I mean, it's super cool to be connected with someone like William. I mean, he's really good at iRacing, and so that helps if he, sometimes he'll chime in on, looking back, watching a race, doing something different on a restart or doing something right on a restart. And then also just being able to, talk with somebody that has all the racing experience that he has is really cool. And then it allows us to do a lot of really awesome things like, last weekend, or I guess 2 weeks ago now at Charlotte, when we were in the fan zone. It's really cool to be able to represent Logitech, and a lot of our partners with Logitech and iRacing were both in that fan zone booth. So, it really sets me up to be able to do a lot of cool things. And then he went out and won the Xfinity race, and so I got to get a picture in victory lane with him at Charlotte. So it's really cool to be associated with him.
And his big-time win for Willie V2, hometown win. He's a Charlotte native. Justin Malillo, what do you have for Tucker Minter?
Tucker, I got to know if you would have rather come off pit road second there to Steven following what happened on that restart there. Is that going through your mind at all? Having to start alongside Breyer, who stayed out?
Yeah, I mean, I would have rather restarted, in line with the leader. It's always advantageous to restart in line with the leader in a situation like that, because that basically he's probably going to get, when you're in second, you just can't time it enough unless you just do a blind guess and you're basically doing a 50-50, or not even 50-50. I mean, the odds that you guess it perfect are so low that you're more than likely just going to give yourself a black flag these days. So you basically just have to hope that you're behind the leader, and I thought I was. I mean, if I go back and look at it off of pit road, I was behind Steven, but for some reason it counted me as ahead of him, which I mean, the scoring loops, I guess, were trying to help me out tonight. When that caution came out, I should have been behind Steven. I feel like anyway, we were kind of even right there side by side, and it gave me the lead onto pit road, and then off of pit road, he should have been ahead of me again. So I guess although it goes both ways. I shouldn't feel as much like I was robbed, I guess, because of Breyer staying out on old tires and me being in the lead and being obstacled by that, because Steven probably should have been in the more advantageous spot on the restart anyway. But when you're in that spot, you have to be selfish, especially with the segment ending and everything. So it's disappointing for sure, just that someone that was running 30 whatever all race decides he's going to stay out and still finishes 30 whatever, because that never works. But oh well, someone tries it every other week. So
we've got a whole host of people. We've got a whole host of folks behind this operation. We've got a whole host of people on our panel as well. We want to introduce another person on our panel. We bring in for the first time in a few races, Seth Egger. And as Seth works to get his stuff set up, also, we will bring in Spire Motorsports' Steven Wilson to proceedings, and we'll let Seth go because Seth has a question for both drivers, actually.
Tucker, you mentioned that Kansas is a good track to throw sliders at. Well, Tucker, Steven, who throws the best sliders in the field?
Tucker, without a doubt. And I'm serious when I say that. He scares me every time he throws it in there, but he makes it stick, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I guess I'm generally a little more aggressive when I try to get by someone, make sure I get back to the top. But I guess tonight I switched up my approach and maybe it bit me, because I think Steven was a little bit better at that tonight than I was.
Yeah, I found a slider line one of those laps. I thought he was driving it in, so I counter drove it in there and slid it up, and it was probably the fastest. I think it was fastest 1 and 2 I had there on that last run. It was pretty fast. So apparently it's got some speed. You just throw it in there, and I learned that in the last race before we have it built, so that's unfortunate, but we moved.
Yeah, I remember I drove it into the bottom and felt like I parked the bottom pretty good, and I heard Steven charge it off in. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be clear off too, and then we were still even. I was like, well, so much for that.
Are there any other tracks on the schedule that allows you to throw sliders like Kansas?
I think it'll come down to how the racing changes with the new build we have next week. With the 1.5 miles, or Michigan, the places where we do a lot of drafting right now, you can kind of be able to throw a slider and make it stick, because you want to make sure you're protecting your right rear. But with the new drafting changes that we're going to have, and maybe with the new tire, I think it could be different.
Yeah, I'd say the one track that comes to my mind was Homestead last year. You can kind of do it. The top, you kind of get tight at the end of the corner pretty bad, which is why I lost the championship, actually. But yeah, you can throw it in there, and as long as you don't completely overdo it and either hook the seam or just have enough turn to where you get to the fence and can just mat it, it works pretty well. But other than that, I don't really, maybe Dover is one, but there's not really many places right now where we're just driving it in so easy in the corner where you can just dive bomb a guy and it'll clear him. You're kind of just taking a risk no matter what.
Steven, Tucker, quick question for both of you from the Twitch chat from user Mexon, and it's a pretty easy one for both of you. It's what's your favorite part of racing and competing during your time racing here on iRacing?
Ooh, I would say
Steven.
Okay, I'll say that when you have battles like we have tonight, like me and Tucker just brawling, throwing it in on each other, running lanes running 3 different lanes that all work is when I have the most fun. And then being able to just compete against guys who are just so unbelievably talented. We have a lot of people in this series who are capable of running up front and have a lot of speed. So a lot of fun to be able to just brawl with these guys and show what we have here on the sim. And just having racetracks and having a car that allows you to move around as well is the most fun for me.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo basically everything that Steven said. It's a lot of fun to be able to race at this level with people that you can trust to run as close as you possibly can, and just trying to do everything you can to manipulate the draft, to manipulate the air. And like Steven said, with the different lanes, you're always thinking about, okay, is the top better now? What's going to happen if I run the top? Is that going to hurt my tires, or is it worth it? There's just so much thought and everything that goes into it. And that's what I really enjoy, is being able to feel like I'm making a difference behind the wheel. And right now we have a really fun package with that, I feel like, where you can really think about what you're doing and make a difference.
Seems like we have 3 certainties this season, and that's death, taxes, and both of you guys being at the front of the field. Are you sick of each other yet?
I mean, last year I was a little bit sick of Steven after Charlotte, but I feel like we've maybe, I don't know if it's water under the bridge, but I feel like we're kind of even set right now. And so, right now it's fun to race him. I don't know if I'll feel the same way in a few months, but hopefully I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've had our moments definitely, but we go way back, so it's good to kind of just, you have those moments. We're racing each other up front a lot of these races, so something like that's bound to happen when one of us loses our cool. I know I do that quite a bit, so I can do some dumb stuff. So but when we're racing each other up front, we're probably the 2 best drivers right now. I would say clearly with the 7 wins combined between the 2 of us right now, and 9 races. So it's fun to have a rivalry like this with just one person. I know we have a lot of other people to race, and I was going through it tonight with Parker and Casey, just trying to get myself in the right air position and all that. But all these guys are so good, and it's fun to race a guy like that until he starts beating me the last 3 nights. So it's good to feel a little bit better after winning tonight.
Question of the day for both of you guys. We'll start with Tucker, because you were talking to him first, just so we have some order here. But of course we were racing in Kansas, so you are going down just like the Wizard of Oz. Let's say we're on the yellow brick oval. You can pick 3 people to go on that journey with you. 1 for brains, 1 for heart, and 1 for courage. So which 3 teammates are you taking with you? Tucker, you can go first.
Let's see. I got 3 teammates. Man, I don't want to make anybody mad. Let's see. I'll take Christopher Money Hill. I hope his nickname made it on the broadcast earlier. I'm gonna have to go back and watch, see if Evan
Pasoko had your back on that one. Yeah.
All right, and so I'm taking Christopher Money Hill. He's an engineer, so I'm gonna go with him for the brains. For courage, I don't know. I feel like Michael Cozy Jr. is willing to try something. Either him or Nick on the courage. And I don't know what the last one was. I kind of wasn't paying too much attention, but I'll just take the fireman set immersion because I like to drop his nickname on the broadcast.
You know what? That's fair enough. Steven?
All right. I think brains. I'm going to go with my Spire Alliance teammate with Femi. He's always thinking a few steps ahead. He's thinking all the time, so take him for that. Courage. We're going to take Colin Bowden for courage. That guy is kind of an idiot, but he'll do anything, so that'll be good. We'll bring him along for some good times. And then the last one I think was heart. So let me go with Parker. Let me go with Parker. He's good vibes all the time, and he can have some fun as well.
So it seems like Tucker's got a Rolodex of all really good nicknames for his teammates. I know it's going to be a little bit difficult to compete with him, but do you have any funny nicknames for your teammates lined up?
Oh God. Probably not any broadcast worthy. They're probably a bunch of, I call my teammates a bunch of bad words on the racetrack, but I don't really know any nicknames. We just shorten everybody's name pretty much. Sometimes people call me like Scotty Scheffler. I've also been called Lane Riggs, so those are a couple for me.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty. James?
Yeah.
I love how Steven casually just dropped the facts behind we're probably the 2 best drivers in this series right now with 7 wins in the last 9 races. So man backs it up with the stats too. Steven, I'll leave this as a challenge to you because I have a feeling this isn't the last time we're going to end up chatting on the Sunoco post-race report with you. But last week we had Tucker and Bobby Z come on and they just dropped all the lore on the nicknames with their squad. So I would say gauntlet down to you and inspire everybody at NFR to figure out how you can present that information, because the way that they rolled it out, we got like a mini novel on everybody in that bunch, and it was a lot of fun. So I know you got it. So all good, gents.
Yeah.
Appreciate you so much. Thanks for the time and congrats on your 1-2 finish. And here is a look at the final segment 2 standings. Wanted to make sure we had all of our math buttoned up, but just below, I want to go to you first for your reaction on this. Steven Wilson nipping Tucker Minter by 5 at the end of claim segment 2.
Well, it really came down to whoever won this race, because we didn't really hear from Bobby Zelensky after lap 1. once he was out of the equation, it was really whoever finished ahead of the other driver, and Steven was able to take it from Tucker. So congrats to Steven. He possibly could have won in segment 1 as well. We could have been talking to him as a 2-time segment winner, but he had that one bad race, I believe, at Las Vegas, so that took him out of that one. But now he's got 5 extra playoff points to play with, plus the win, so a 10 playoff point night for Steven Wilson, which is to go in his benefit.
How about it? And even though, yes, things may change, we'll see what the new bill gives us next week in terms of how these next gens drive. I think it's still going to be a lot of fun to see how the next segment pans out, because you've got some fun races coming up. Start with Iowa, but we've got a really, really fun pairing here. I'm a little bit scared to see what these two can cook up together. So we've got Michael Cozy Jr. from the ERA Esports team, and we've got Casey Kerwin representing the hometown Kansas City Pioneers now joining us at the Sunoco post-race report. I want to start with Cozy just because I want to have some fun with this, because Cozy, you drove through this field, plus 24 spots. So was it the core power, or was it something else?
Well, first off, I mean, absolutely, we were powered to the brim with the core power, man. We got a beautiful selection in the background. I tell you what, we got a brand new shipment for this second half of the Coke Series season. So I'm gonna hope we're gonna have a lot more performances like that. We appreciate the sponsors, man. Everybody at ERA Esports, but yeah, man, I wish I could qualify. I'm going to hope this new build gives me the ability to qualify in this series. Until then, I keep starting 30th, 25th, whatever, and passing a whole bunch of cars. It's getting frustrating, but I can't be mad tonight because we did make a lot of good moves and we were really fast. Credit to the Alta C Sports boys. I mean, another rocket ship, as always, and absolute privilege to drive this thing to the front. Again, it comes back to qualifying, and man, it's tough to put that lap together, and then when you only have a 100-lap race, it's not a lot of time, a lot of aggressive drivers, so really small margin for error, and we were just on it tonight, so I appreciate all the boys, and man, I cooked that right front a little bit there, too much there at the end. We were battling for, we got in the top 5. I was going back here and looking at the replays while we waited, and just cooked it just a little bit, man. But that car, I mean, it was one of the best all season for sure.
Casey Kerwin, your best finish of the year, your second top 5, and your 4th top 10 of the season. But given that Talladega has sort of broken up just a little sort of group of finishes here, that have gone a little bit, I think, less than you would have liked. Did you need this one maybe a little bit more than usual just to get things back on track?
Yeah, I'd say so. We've run good, and just either with, I think like Richmond, was probably the one race where we got wrecked. I can't really think of any others. And then Charlotte should have been a top 3 or 4 and kind of screwed up. We got in a spot that got spun, so we ended up like 11th. And then last week probably still should have been around like the top 5 and screwed up the strategy and ended up like 13th or whatever it was. So, we've run okay. We've just kind of been like a tick behind, I feel like, the kind of Altus guys and the North Force guys. But we've still been good, and we just haven't quite had the finishes this year, I feel like, to fully show it, but we're starting to get there, and hopefully with the new build we can start on the right foot and keep plugging away at some good points.
Let's go back to our panel of journalists. We'll go back to Seth Eggert.
Michael, Casey, earlier we had Tucker and Steven in here, and we were asking them who throws the best sliders in the field. So I'm going to pose the question to you guys. Who throws the best and who throws the worst sliders in the field?
I can tell you all the bad ones. I can't tell you any of the good ones.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like the ones I've seen the most is probably from Tucker. But like Tucker's are like the borderline, like if he misses it by like an inch more, we're all crashed. Which is why I kind of think it's like he probably is the best. But it's like a huge slider where like he throws it hard enough where like the guy can't cross over. But then he gets just square enough to where he just gets absolutely run over from behind and just kills the guy behind's momentum. So it's kind of like maybe it's not like dirty, but it's like a pretty aggressive slider. But it's he threw a mean one at Charlotte. I remember that one. I think him and Steven both threw some today, but I feel like just from what I've seen from behind, probably Tucker.
You know where you learned them too. Off the nose of the 34 car a couple times in practice.
All right, I'm going to jump in here, especially Cozy, because we got our producer Drew in our ear, and he's saying names. I want names of these people who can't do it. So, anybody you want to call out? Maybe here's your shot.
I've had a lot of fun racing, but Colin Keister's threw some bad ones. I got to throw my man Tyler Gary on blast. I mean, he single-handedly cost me the win in Vegas for throwing one of the worst sliders I've ever seen. I don't know how much crap I want to talk tonight because we had a good top 10 finish, but I didn't have any too bad ones thrown tonight. I don't even throw any sliders, man. I'm just gonna pass you or I ain't. So yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't want to piss anybody else off, but we'll see. We still got a lot of season to go.
Casey, anybody?
Oh, I don't know. I think I don't know. I haven't really experienced a bad slider recently enough, I don't think, to see. It's like funny because then I say like the best slider was Tucker, but at least from my point of view, the most borderline bad one was also Tucker, but it was like right down the middle, like it was kind of perfect.
So Tucker's the best and the worst at the same time.
The most aggressive sliders for sure I've seen from Tucker, but like they've been pretty well calculated so far, but it could end poorly. So I don't know.
Oh, hold up. Absolute banger of a question from our director, Cisco Scaramuza. Michael Cozy, Casey Kerwin, we've got two races that we know you two both love attending in person. So which is better, the Long Beach Grand Prix or the Little 500?
Whoa. I've never been to Long Beach. That seems really
I've
cool
never been to the Little 500, so I don't know. But I'm of course going to say Long Beach. I'll also say Little 500, to my knowledge, it's just that one night. If you can include it in the 500 weekend, I'd say that's probably pretty hard to beat. But but Long Beach, like the whole weekend with IMSA and IndyCar and like the views and just the street circuit vibes, it's just unmatched, really. So
that's a tough comparison. I ain't been out there. I got to do. Long Beach is absolutely on the bucket list. Little 5, I mean, when it comes down to short tracking, that'll be my number one answer. If you ask me what the best short track race in the world is, it'll always be that race. But, oh, man. You're just coming off that one, baby. We didn't have too good of a race this year. We wrecked early on, but, man, it's always good.
Let's get Justin Melillo in here. We haven't heard from Justin in a hot minute. Unless, nothing at all, ever?
I'll just throw in there that I'm a little bit biased. I've been to the Little 500 before, and I love that one. But I would love to go to Long Beach one day. That's all I got for you guys.
Long Beach sounds fun. How about we go to Keenan Kusin? Keenan always has good stuff.
So this one's for both of you. First of all, nice to see you both finally up here, especially you, Cozy. Good run tonight. But both of you obviously have a pretty large Twitch following. Cozy, you're streaming right now. Casey, you hit us with the raid before. We'll start with Cozy. I know you're probably not actively being a streamer while you're doing a Coke Series race, but how does it feel knowing you've got that huge group of people all behind you throughout the race in the night?
It's a tough one to answer. I hate it because tonight was like the first night in my entire Coke Series career I had to just wipe the stream right in the middle because I was having really bad internet troubles, and they were telling me I started blinking. I was afraid they were going to throw me to the back there when we started having a good race. But it's really tricky. But I can't say how much I appreciate everybody that's followed me along on my iRacing journeys and come out to watch the streams, every single night. It means a lot, and I hate it that I'm so bad at qualifying. I ain't won one of these yet, but I'm telling you, that's why they're the best, because they just keep on supporting me. So I tell you what, man, one of these days we're gonna win one and we're gonna burn it to the ground. But those guys are the best. I'm telling you, some people have been supporting me for years, and we've been on a very long journey all together. And every time I get a chance, man, appreciate the hell out of all those guys. And it's really just it's a big community. I know Casey, everybody knows this, just racing in general, iRacing, all that stuff. It's wonderful, all the friends and people I've gotten to meet over the years through the stream, through just racing, this and that. So yeah, it's such a big part of my life, and I just really appreciate everybody for sure.
Yeah, same here. It's especially for me, like kind of part of the reason why I started streaming was to stream like for the Coke races and stuff. Obviously I've been around a long time now, so yeah, it's been a fun journey, and there's so many people that were probably, you know, tuned in tonight that were tuned in, you know, 6 years ago when I started. So yeah, there's been a lot of people that have been there the whole time, and it's always fun. It's always fun for me to go look back after the races too, because yeah, chat gets very hyped and very animated, and when things go good or bad. So it's always fun to see how everyone reacted and took in the race, especially tonight. I'm sure it was probably pretty active in the chat with how good the racing was near the end. So yeah, it's always fun. It's just kind of another layer of you know, just support that you feel kind of in every race. Especially, you know, I don't read chat actively like during the race and stuff, but occasionally I can like have a glimpse at OBS or see the view count or something, and it's always nice to feel that, and yeah, always motivates you more. So
Keenan Kusin, I know you got that one big question. Well, two big questions actually, as I think about it.
Well, here comes a new challenger on this one. I think I've loved the theme lately of if someone that we know has a question, instead of us asking it, they could just ask for themselves. So, Mr. Kenneth Bueno, would you like to take this one away?
Well, hello. This one is for Michael Cozy Jr. Michael, first of all, congrats on the top 10 finish tonight. I see the Nick Collison jersey in the background, so you're definitely a ball knower, that's for sure. I'm going to ask you, because this is definitely the right time. If you could choose between an NBA championship for the Oklahoma City Thunder or a Coke Series championship this year, which would you choose?
All right. First off, ain't nobody recognize that Nick Collison jersey back there except for you. So props, my man. I appreciate that. I gotta choose myself, man, because the Thunder got a better future than I do. Damn it, I need the championship. I had such bad luck in this year. The Thunder are built for the future to come. I'm gonna be selfish on this one, man. Give me that championship.
All right, not bad. I mean, given how many draft picks they had that set up this team, I'm sure they're going to be in contention for the next couple of years. Casey, do you have any kind of similar type of situation that maybe would put you at odds with either or?
No, not that I can think of. I'm pretty much. I don't really have
one,
any...
man. You don't need to sell anything.
I don't have any like hard like affiliations to really any like sports stuff outside of racing. I just pretty much my whole life and everything I think about is racing or sim racing. So I do enjoy watching sports, but I don't have any hard affiliations or anything like that. So it's all racing for me.
All right. Well, Michael, Casey, thank you. I appreciate the answers, of course.
KB, Kenneth Bueno, knower of ball. I want to build off that really quickly, Cozy. How much have you had the Flaming Lips Thunder Up on repeat on your music, whatever streaming service this week, as I would expect you would?
Oh, man, I don't know. I just, I can't remember last game I even sat down to watch. Like, it's been a real tough schedule with this Coke Series stuff and Memorial Day and all that traveling. I missed the entire Western Conference Finals, just almost. I mean, luckily, it's going to be tough with the new build and all that stuff, but it starts this Thursday. At least I get to sit down and watch one game. What a crazy time to be. I mean, I'm telling you, I was like in the 5th or 6th grade last time these boys went to the finals. We've been waiting a long time for this. I think they're going to somebody asked me before, but officially OKC in 5 is the prediction. So we're going to give the Pacers one game to let them feel it. But OKC in 5, and then we're going to run it back the next year. You heard it here first.
Could be running it back a lot over the next few years, I think, as young and as good as that team looks. Let's get it back to racing here to wrap this up. Nürburgring 24-hour special event this weekend. Casey, I know you're going to run it at some point. Cozy, do you have plans to run it as well? And Casey, when are you going to be running the Nürburgring?
For me, I'm actually don't intend on running it. I mainly am just a prototype guy. The prototype stuff, I think walking 6 hour probably, I'll be there. But the me and the GT3s, I have a hate relationship, not a love hate, a hate relationship with ABS. So I stick with the prototypes, and I'll have fun at the. I think the 6 hour probably be the next special event for me. So.
Oh, so you getting the Commanders back together?
Commanders, oh.
The Commanders. That's the name of the team, right? Just the Commanders.
Yeah. See, we don't race outside Daytona, man. We got a tight budget. We're Daytona. We're Daytona, and that's it, man. That's our efforts for the year. Me, especially as a driver, it takes all I can do just to get all 4 corners down for a Coke race, man. The new Nürburgring, you funny. That's a good one.
All right. Well, Casey, Michael, thank you so much for your time. Casey, rock on, and Cozy, thunder up.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
So here's a look at your final race results from this evening one more time, Keenan. Steven, Tucker, Casey, we've spoken to all of them. Parker White comes home fourth. Gente, you've heard from as well. Michael Guest with a great run. Have not talked a lot about how Michael Guest went from 18th to 6th. Maybe a little bit understated compared to some of the other hard chargers, but solid runs for him. And then Luza, Falkingham, and Lopez rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and then Luza, the story of Luza has just been, where did he come from? Jordi Lopez, nice to see him back up there in the top 10. It seems like he's been knocking on the door of a good finish. Just needed to put all the pieces together, and I'm sure this is the first of many. And yeah, this, again, the story's all up and down the leaderboard. It's been a heck of a run here in our little summer stretch.
Well, how about we bring in one of the drivers that we just mentioned and his teammates? So we've got the whole of 6 car right here. We got Daniel Falkingham and Eddie Kerner making it in. Daniel, who's had a few years in this series, former Coke Series winner. Eddie Kerner with a really, really solid run just on the edge of the top 10. Gents, how do you summarize your night looking back at 100 laps here at Kansas?
Yeah, it started off really good, and then middle part of the race, we kind of faded towards outside the top 10, but had to go to work on our car a little bit to kind of ride back, and we were ripping on that second long run that we had, and just that caution kind of foiled things a little bit, but definitely glad we had a good run out here tonight, considering the last 2 weeks have been anything but desirable. With the bad run we had at Charlotte, then we finished last place at Nashville, my first ever last place finish in the series. So we kind of need to get something going again, and hopefully this is a step in the right direction, but everything's going to get flipped on its head next week with the whole new build coming. But hopefully this is the start of a good run, and like you mentioned, former winner, we're probably going to have to take a win again if we're going to make this postseason for the second straight year. So, can't really complain about tonight. But yeah, I'm just glad for myself and for Eddie as well to get a good run for 6 car. I know we've been trying to get that because the start of the year has been really rough for both of us. So, but hopefully, like I said, this is the start of something really, really good for us.
Eddie, how big is it for you to put up a finish like this, especially as a rookie? And I don't know if you know the answer, either of you yet, but how hyped was the 6 Karma admin knowing that at the end of the race, you two were door-to-door just absolutely brawling for spots? But how jacked up are they knowing that they're going to have an awesome shot to get some in-race screenings of you two?
Good, because there hasn't really been an opportunity since Daytona where Falk and I have been together. I've kind of been lacking on that end. But yeah, it's fun working with them. The admin's great, and finally had a clean race tonight where I didn't make any mistakes. Had kind of a quiet night right around that 10th spot, and happy to finally contribute to the team. Falk's been kind of carrying here a little bit, so hopefully I can continue getting some good finishes.
Let's bring in our journalists again. We start with the 6 Karma guys with Seth Eggert.
Daniel, Eddie, all night I've been asking about drivers throwing sliders on track. Who do the two of you think throws the best sliders and who throws the worst sliders?
That's actually that's a good question. I'd say probably the worst one if we're going off of tonight. I think from what I heard, I saw behind me Dylan Alt, I think, tried to pull a slider. I think it was on Femi. I don't think that went well. Yeah. I don't know. But I heard that didn't go well. But for the best, I really, that's a good question, because I don't know. Like, it seems like everyone is really good at like what they do in this series, no matter what. So I feel like pretty much like everyone's good in their own right. Pretty much as long as you can pull a good slider and you don't really like wreck the guy, I'd say you're pretty good at doing it. But I really can't say I can pick out like one specific individual. I don't know if Eddie can pick out one, but I don't think I can get one off the top of my head.
Well, that one happened right in front of me, the Dylan Alt, the bad slider. Yeah, he almost cleaned out Femi. They're good. I don't know, the one who always pushes, maybe a little biased because we test with him, but Parker White will always just will slide up just enough to make you lift, like almost like a Chastain, where like he'll push you just far enough where you like it's either you lift or you wreck, and so I'd go with Parker White, but yeah.
Justin Malillo, what do you have for Team 6 Karma?
You guys were actually like causing contact to each other coming to the line there, and I think that allowed Jordy Lopez to get up in between you two at the results there. Did you guys talk about that at all, or you guys are cool, right? Like it's all good.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Like I don't think it would happen if I didn't really screw up coming off a 4, because I was trying to run the top so I could see if I can get like a good run on Cozy and Luza, because I know they were running side by side up in front of me. If I could just like rip the top and get like the biggest run off a 4 to see if I can snipe a few more spots, I could maybe had that. But I was kind of getting a little loose. I don't know if I like crossed the seam or what, but I just got a little loose, so that allowed me and Eddie and I should say, to get really close together. We did make contact. I was in the fence, but everyone's running close quarters. I know, like, we're not gonna wreck each other on purpose. I know, because like we're all trying to get spots, because every point matters. If you take a look at the point standings right now, it's so close. Like from like 7th to like the cut line is like within a race. So like every point matters. So now like we're all good. Just good hard racing. But like I said, trying to get every spot we can. But we're cool.
Yeah, we're all good. Oh, well, yeah. Sorry, but yeah, we're all good. I got tight too. We were both super tight off of 4 there, and I was craving a top 10. I've been just wanting to so close 3000s. But yeah, we're all good. It was just tight racing. I kind of got glued to him off of 4 there, and I just couldn't cover Jordy. I saw him coming just too late, and I didn't want to wreck myself. So we're all good. That was fun.
Congratulations, though, Eddie, on being the rookie of the race. So that's cool to get that, and I'll hand it back over to the other guys.
Well, we're going to keep it rolling here with Eddie, because we start with Eddie, big-time Chicago guy. We know this, big-time Chicago sports guy. I'd take it. You got love for any of the other Chicago teams? Who's in the roster, as it were?
For me, White Sox are my. The White Sox have been my favorite, but obviously, last couple of years have not been the best. They're turning it around though. They're coming. They'll be back slowly but surely. The rebuild's going to take a couple of years, but
so you've not had a lot of fun watching the big ball club, but you probably had a lot of fun watching all the minor league teams, because all the minor league affiliates are, I think, with winning records, save for the Dash, of course, because that's we can't have nice things in my neck of the woods. I see how it is, right? So fair. We got any other good Chicago sports takes, as it were? We believe in Ben Johnson?
Yeah, hopefully Ben Johnson, and hopefully they get, I don't know, Wolf. Every year it's a hope and pray, and last year was their year, and the year before that with Fields was their year, and now it's with Ben Johnson's the year. So it's just it's never. We'll see. Hopefully, the Cubs though are doing good, but that's about it.
That's a begrudging acknowledgement of the Cubs' success.
Yes, of the success. Yes, they're there.
But
they should be there.
But you do now have maybe the most famous fan in all of baseball in the Pope on your side, too.
This is true.
That's a win, right?
That was a big day, yes. When it first came out, he was a Cubs fan, and then turned out he was a Sox fan. Yes, it was a good day for Sox fans.
That they found that footage of him from the World Series in 05 is crazy internet work.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. Good job, internet. But Dan, you got all these trophies in the background, and all these checks and all this stuff. Can you tell us what you have back there? What you're showing off every time you show us your rig?
Yeah, so let's see. We got a couple. Let's see. I'll show you some of the smaller trophies. We got FTF Cup Series run-up trophy from 2023. I know Justin will like that. We're coming for the big one this year. I got one from Sim 500 from 2022. Was their Cup Series overall champion. In the back there, I don't know if you can see them. We got 2 small trophies. Which was like the owner's title stuff in FTF as well. But the 3 trophies I'm proud of, we got this big one right here. It's the Rod Car Season 31 Championship Trophy. If anyone's curious what Rod Car is, that used to be a super speedway league that I run with a bunch of guys. Actually, a lot of the Coke guys run that, like Cozy, Gary, Tucker, Chris Hill, Bobby. A lot of those guys have ran with Rod Car a lot, even though Rod Car's not going on anymore. But so I was proud to call myself champion in that. Over here on my left, I got the PGR Championship Trophy, being their overall champion in 2024. It's a Thursday night money league that they run. And then the one I'm really proud of right back there is the PGR 500 Championship Trophy for winning their PGR. Did their own little Daytona 500 this year. And I can say I was the first ever winner of that. So I guess if you could call me a super speedway merchant, yes, with all these super speedway championship trophies I've been winning, which is, well, I think it's been benefiting me over on the Coke stuff with Daytona and Talladega. We probably should have won both those races this year, but no, a little, and of course you got the checkered flag in the back. We can't forget, like, probably one of my, actually, I don't know which one's better, the PGR 500 one or the checkered flag from the Indianapolis Coke race last year, but a lot of trophies that I'm very, very, very proud of. So hopefully we can get another one of these checkered flags before the year's out. But yeah, definitely a lot of trophies I'm really proud of. Proud of a lot of the accomplishments I've been able to do.
Keenan, I feel like he's done more in the last 3 years than I've accomplished in basically my entire life. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Man, I don't want to think about that as a 32-year-old man. That's a terrifying thought, actually.
He goods up, but yeah, Keenan, talk to me. What do you have for these guys?
Well, quick question. This one's for Eddie from the Twitch chat. From a rookie standpoint, how has having an experienced driver helped your development as a driver? And what do you do to set yourself up to continue your career in eNASCAR? And that one is, of course, from Heroes Motorsport.
It's nice having not only Falk, but everyone on Norse Force behind the scenes to set up team. Having Steven and Parker and Donnie and Femi, and the list goes on of everyone who worked with North Force. And I'm a rookie in the series, but I don't feel I'm a rookie. I've been doing this now 5 years through the Road to Pro ladders and going through Pro 3 times. So the races, I feel really confident in strategy-wise and how to run them. But it is a little different. It's just that notch up from anything I've done. That's what makes this series so fun, is because it's the best on the planet, on the oval side, and everyone is just so good. Like tonight, I felt I drove just about as good as race as I can, and still it's a 10th place finish. So there's still stuff to learn. But having Falk and everyone behind the scenes is priceless to help keep me going and hopefully hunt down a win, keep learning and fighting.
Do you find yourself being a fresh perspective, being able to help out your teammate, like with setting up his microphone, perhaps?
Yeah, well, how's Falky better? You over there? The mic's better?
What's going on, Mike? Now I got this mic for free, so I'm not going to complain about it. But I think we might be on the mend for trying to get a new microphone, because it likes to be bipolar. It either likes to work or it doesn't. So I've had this thing for 3 years now. So we might have to rectify that. My grateful apologies, but this is what we got at the moment.
We still got you. It's just when you turned around to the fan, but I would be remiss if I didn't say anything.
I like my nice little fan.
You're too cool, unfortunately.
Keenan,
that's a shame.
Keenan, I want to ask this question real quick. With that big fan there, does that potentially make Daniel a candidate for Big Fan Esports, maybe?
Davin Cornelius is cheering loudly, and he's not quite sure why.
All right, Keenan, hit it with our question of the day, because I know you love it.
All right, boys, we got one more for you here. So we were just in Kansas. So hypothetical here. We're on the yellow brick oval. We've got 3 people that you can take with you on this journey. One that will represent brains, heart, and courage. Which 3 teammates are you picking? This one's for both of you.
That's a good question. Did you come up with this? I love this question. That's actually really good.
Refuse to cite my sources, though they may have involved Google at one point.
All right, so what do we got? What was it again? The brains?
The brains, the heart, and courage.
And courage, okay. I Let's see.
I'll go with brains. I'm gonna go with Cody Bias. Heart. We're gonna go probably Donovan Strauss. And courage. Let's go Blake McCandless.
The strategy master himself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we'll go
All right.
those two.
I would say for me. So wait, can this be like anybody in the Coke series, or can this be like outside of that, or?
If you're picking people outside, okay, yeah, just from word, yeah, it was just the Coke series. So anybody part of your team or anybody on the grid.
Okay, so I'd say the brains. I would say has to be Jarrett Liebert, who is on our actual like setup team, who does like a lot of the setup work for us behind the scenes. So I'd say he could have the brains. The heart. I think I'd have to agree with Eddie, probably Donovan Strauss, with how much work he puts into with his real life stuff and also on the sim too, like seeing the behind the scenes work that he does. He puts a lot into it. So I'd say I'd give him the heart and the courage. Can I say myself?
I've been instructed that it's just drivers too, so you are a driver. So I mean,
I have to say myself. I'm gonna throw this into this because like all the courage I had to try to make the playoffs last year, and we won it the second to last race before. Took a lot of courage and a lot of guts to go win that race. And now I'm going to need a lot more courage to try to win one of these last 5 or so races to go and do it again. So I'd say I have the most courage.
Unfortunately, I've asked the panel of esteemed judges, and apparently it has to be a driver. So your pick for brains, though I am a big Jarrett Liebert fan, will not apply. So we need one more for you.
All right, let's go into
Off-road
brains.
king.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, for brains, for an actual driver, I would have to say, I'd say probably Casey Kerwin. I think that'd be my pick because it seems like no matter what race, he knows really like how to work through traffic. He knows how to like race around others, and he's always at the front 90% of the time. So I'd say I'd give it to Casey.
No, neither of you picked each other on that one. Well, I mean, you technically picked yourself, Daniel, so I guess that counts.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on, man.
That's close enough. But Eddie, no Falkingham love there?
No, well, you know.
He's looking at you. I can see him.
he's looking right at me. Right now. He's giving me the eyes.
Come on. Say it, Eddie.
What?
What's on your mind, man?
Nothing.
No love. No love. I mean, you give me no love, so I had to give up.
No, well, you screwed my top 10, so no love for you.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yep. No love tonight. Sorry.
Well, James, I guess breakfast at the Six Axis house is going to be a little awkward tomorrow morning.
Yeah, if I didn't know any better, I'd say we've got some beef here. Also, 2 final points here for Daniel. 1, hello from Parker White's mother, fellow Mainer. Daniel.
Hello,
hey.
Hello, Trisha.
And then B, Justin Malillo wanted to make the point that the big fan is why you're so good at racing in for the fans. But tis. So, jokes
right here.
Jokes all around.
I got one over here that you can't see on camera. It's another one blowing in my other direction. So no, I got all the fans.
2 big fans.
My best, all the best. We got the best fans here, everybody. Best fans.
So Daniel Falkingham might have the best fans. Better question, Dan. College series coming up in the fall. We going to see you run that?
The plan is I'm going to try to do it again because with all my college stuff going on right now, I've had a little bit of trouble with that over the last semester and whatnot. So I think I've got a little bit more I need to do before I can finish out. So there's a good chance you might see me back. And if I do this, it will be my last time around. So hopefully I should be done within the next year. So I think you should. I plan accordingly, but you should see me in the fall, hopefully.
Fair. Well, Dan, thank you for your time. Eddie, please tell the White Sox front office to send some halfway decent prospects to Winston-Salem so they stop being bottom of the Sally League. And we will see you next month in Chicago for some street race fun.
Yes, that's good. Thank you, guys.
How about it? There's Daniel Falkingham and Eddie Kerner for 6 Karma, who put up strong pair of finishes there, 9th and 11th this evening. One more time, let's take a look at the results for tonight's race, top 10 Keenan. I feel like we've covered it most ways over, but I think if there are two drivers we haven't really had a chance to talk about, Ryan Luza, Jordi Lopez, both of them needed really, really good runs tonight. I think this is big. Even if it is end of the segment, even if we got 2 weeks, they will be very, very happy with top 10 tonight.
Yeah, I got to touch on it a little bit last time we had the results up. Ryan Luza has just been on this huge return to form, and not to take anything away from him as a driver, but it looks like he was just kind of in a slump for a while, and whatever happened to him, hopefully we get a chance to talk to him again in the future, but the chains have thoroughly been broken. Surely this is not a fluke. And talk about Jordi Lopez. He's been on the cusp of a huge finish. I still don't think he's quite there yet, but a top 10 has to feel like a weight coming off of that driver's shoulders from Bayonne, New Jersey.
Here's a look at your final standings for segment 2. Steven Wilson by 5 over Tucker Minter. Bobby Zielinski had that trouble early, never was able to really get in contention. Just a bit of a bummer. He had a shot tonight, but carts just did not fall his way. And all sorts of fun stuff. Keenan, anything that stands out to you just looking at these segment 2 drivers here?
Other than the massive pause that I left you with there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, this is the tale of today here. We're going to reset this and move on to section 3. But I mean, the big one to talk about there is not just Bobby Zielinski up in the mix, and we haven't seen a road course yet. So he's on another return to form. Talk about Casey Kerwin coming back from a season last year where he didn't get the results he wanted. He's back there. Parker White's still in that top 5. But I think the big story is it's been the Tucker and Steven show. I mean, we're in Kansas, it's not Iowa, but it's just down the road. And we're going back to Iowa here pretty soon. So, I mean, we've got to keep an eye out for that 77. But Tucker Minter has always been a front runner in the Coke Series. And maybe, just maybe, James, he's found that extra little 1% to put himself to the top step of the podium at the end of the year. But we won't know until we get there.
Worth noting, too, that Steven Wilson is going to enter the playoffs now with 25 bonus points, 4 wins and the 5 bonus points from this segment. So how big that could be when looking at how to make your way into the championship 4. A big thanks to everybody involved with the broadcast tonight. For Camille Salazar Hadaway, Alan Cabana, and Ryan Vargas on our Countdown to Green show. For Evan Pisoko and Kenneth Bueno on the race broadcast. And for the team here on the Sunoco Post-Race Report. For Keaton Goosen, Seth Eckert, Justin Malillo, our special guest question asker, and Noah Ball, Kenneth Bueno. I'm James Pike. Thank you so much for watching the Sunoco Post-Race Report for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series at Kansas. This is the end of segment 2. Brand new build next week. Gen 4 stock cars, refreshed NASCAR tracks coming your way. We're back in 2 weeks' time from Iowa Speedway to start off segment 3. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you from Iowa.